Nam mến yêu, dàn người anh bình minh, bước qua ngàn gian khó bao ghềnh thác, đem lại hạnh phúc cho muôn nhà. Con đường ta đã đi, rực rỡ ngàn hoa, viết nên cho sự vang trôi để ngàn đời tiếng ca mãi rạng rỡ Việt Nam. dốc núi vượt sông đàn bom hay khói lửa, dù nắng cháy thì ra, dù mưa hay giông tố, truyền thống 4000 năm, dù tiến bước bàn chân, màu máu năm trào dâng. Đi ta đi theo bước chân của ông cha, dựng xây quê hương non nước tươi đẹp ngàn hoa, là lời đất nước gọi ta, là lời đất nước gọi ta. Một ý chí sục sôi, một trái tim cháy bỏng, một đất nước tự do, một quê hương yêu dấu. Nào tiếp bước đón ta, vì đất nước ngàn hoa, cùng thế giới hòa ca. Đi ta đi theo bước chân của ông cha, dựng xây quê hương non nước tươi đẹp ngàn hoa, là lời đất nước gọi ta, là lời đất nước gọi ta. Núi vượt sông đàn bom hay khói lửa, dù nắng cháy thịt ra, dù mưa hay giông tố, truyền thống 4000 năm, dù tiến bước bàn chân, màu máu năm trào dâng. Đi ta đi theo bước chân của ông cha, dựng xây quê hương non nước tươi đẹp ngàn hoa, là lời đất nước gọi ta, là lời đất nước gọi ta. Một ý chí sục sôi, một trái tim cháy bỏng, một đất nước tự do, một quê hương yêu dấu. Nào tiếp bước đón ta, vì đất nước ngàn hoa, cùng thế giới hòa ca. Đi ta đi theo bước chân của ông cha, dựng xây quê hương non nước tươi đẹp ngàn hoa, là lời đất nước gọi ta, là lời đất nước gọi ta. Đi ta đi theo bước chân của ông cha, dựng xây quê hương non nước tươi đẹp ngàn hoa, là lời đất nước gọi ta, 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 là lời đất nước gọi ta.
Việt Nam mến yêu dàn người anh bình minh, bước qua ngàn gian khó bao ghềnh thác, đem lại hạnh phúc cho muôn nhà.
Con đường ta đã đi rực rỡ ngàn hoa, viết nên cho sự vàng trôi để ngàn đời tiếng ca mãi rạng rỡ Việt Nam. về bản thân tôi năm châu bốn phương. Việt Nam đất nước chúng tôi xin chào. Ngày nào còn chìm trong khói bom, mà giờ đây cất cao lời ca vang. Hà Nội thủ đô con tim dấu yêu, ngàn xuôi phố xa đã vui thêm nhiều. Tàu vào Nam dồn vang tiếng ca, ngàn bàn tay vẫy nhau trong tương lai. Sài Gòn hôm nay bao nhiêu đổi thay, mang theo sức sống với bao công trình. Từ bàn tay cùng nhau đắm say, để giờ đây chúng tôi gọi mai. Hãy đến với những con người Việt Nam tôi, đến với quê hương đất nước thanh bình, đến với Tết đón giao thừa ngày 30, với những chiến công mùa xuân năm ấy. Quê hương tôi đây đã sống hôm qua, quê hương tôi đây vẫn sáng hôm nay, quê hương tôi đây sẽ mãi mãi sau vang danh non sông trái tim Việt Nam. Quê hương tôi đây đã sống hôm qua, quê hương tôi đây vẫn sáng hôm nay, quê hương tôi đây sẽ mãi mãi sau vang danh non sông trái tim Việt Nam. Quê hương tôi đây đã sống hôm qua, quê hương tôi đây vẫn sáng hôm nay, quê hương tôi đây sẽ mãi mãi sau vang danh non sông trái tim Việt Nam, vang danh non sông trái tim Việt Nam, vang danh non sông trái tim Việt Nam.
Dù dốc núi vực sâu đàn bom hay khói lửa, dù nắng cháy thì ra, dù mưa hay giông tố, truyền thống 4.000 năm, dù biết bước bàn chân.
Sinh viên và học sinh tham dự sự kiện ngày hôm nay. Và chúng ta rất là vui mừng được tham dự sự kiện ngày hôm nay, là một sự kiện rất đặc biệt. Trong đó có tạo điều kiện để giới thiệu đến tất cả quý vị cũng như tất cả các bạn sinh viên và học sinh các cái kiến thức cũng như những định hướng về lĩnh vực trí tuệ nhân tạo, là một trong những nội dung rất quan trọng và một trong những động lực để phát triển xã hội trong hiện tại và tương lai. Tham dự chương trình ngày hôm nay, Đại học Quốc gia Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh rất hân hạnh được đón tiếp các chuyên gia hàng đầu trên thế giới trong lĩnh vực về trí tuệ nhân tạo. Chúng tôi xin phép được giới thiệu về phía khách mời tham dự sự kiện ngày hôm nay. Xin trân trọng giới thiệu tiến sĩ Vũ Duy Thức, là co-founder của Turing Institute. Xin trân trọng giới thiệu tiến sĩ Lương Minh Thắng từ Google DeepMind và đồng thời cũng là co-founder của Turing Institute. Về phía các chuyên gia, tôi xin trân trọng được giới thiệu giáo sư Truyền Trần từ Deakin University. Xin nhân trọng giới thiệu giáo sư Pochalo từ Carnegie Mellon University. I'd like to introduce Professor Pochalo from Carnegie Mellon University. Tôi xin giới thiệu tiến sĩ Yite từ Reka AI. I'd like to introduce Dr. Yite from Reka AI. You also join the panel discussion with our participants today. Và xin trân trọng giới thiệu tiến sĩ Wendy Nguyễn. Okay. Về phía Đại học Quốc gia Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh, tôi xin trân trọng được giới thiệu Phó giáo sư tiến sĩ Trần Cao Vinh, Phó Giám đốc Đại học Quốc gia Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh. Xin trân trọng giới thiệu Phó giáo sư tiến sĩ Trần Lê Quang, Hiệu trưởng Trường Đại học Khoa học Tự nhiên. Xin trân trọng giới thiệu Phó giáo sư tiến sĩ Lâm Quang Vinh, trưởng Ban Khoa học Công nghệ Đại học Quốc gia Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh. Xin trân trọng giới thiệu tiến sĩ Dương Tôn Thái Dương, Phó trưởng Ban Đào tạo Đại học Quốc gia Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh. Xin trọng giới thiệu cô Hồ Nguyên Nhật Tiên, Phó trưởng ban Đối ngoại và Phát triển Dự án Đại học Quốc gia Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh. Xin trọng giới thiệu tiến sĩ Trần Nam Dũng, Phó hiệu trưởng Trường Phổ thông Năng khiếu. Và trước tiên, trong phần khai mạc, xin trân trọng được kính mời Phó giáo sư tiến sĩ Trần Cao Vinh, Giám đốc Đại học Quốc gia Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh sẽ có một số đôi lời chia sẻ và khai mạc cho buổi ngày hôm nay. Xin trọng kính mời thầy.
Các chuyên gia, các nhà khoa học, toàn thể quý đại biểu khách mời, các bạn sinh viên, các bạn học sinh ở trường phổ thông năng khiếu. Lời đầu tiên thì xin thay mặt cho lãnh đạo Đại học Quốc gia Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh xin gửi lời chào trân trọng, lời chúc sức khỏe, thành công đến tất cả quý vị đại biểu, các nhà khoa học, các nhà chuyên gia cũng như tất cả các bạn tham gia trong chương trình hội thảo ngày hôm nay. Đây là một sự kiện rất quan trọng đối với Đại học Quốc gia Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh, với cộng đồng khoa học công nghệ trong nước. Khi chúng ta có một cái cơ hội để được lắng nghe các chuyên gia hàng đầu trên thế giới trong lĩnh vực trí tuệ nhân tạo. Và đặc biệt là chúng ta rất vui mừng có những diễn giả người Việt Nam, một số diễn giả là tốt nghiệp của trường phổ thông năng khiếu của chúng ta. Và đây chính là niềm tự hào của trí tuệ Việt Nam. Kính thưa quý vị, trí tuệ nhân tạo đang trở thành một trong những lĩnh vực tiên phong, góp phần thay đổi mạnh mẽ mọi mặt đời sống của xã hội, từ y tế, giáo dục, quá trình sản xuất đến các dịch vụ. Đặc biệt trong bối cảnh cách mạng công nghiệp lần thứ tư đang diễn ra mạnh mẽ, trí tuệ nhân tạo đã và đang khẳng định vai trò của mình như một động lực quan trọng thúc đẩy sự phát triển kinh tế xã hội, đặc biệt là một nước như Việt Nam, một nước đang trên đà phát triển. Kính thưa quý vị, thì tôi xin phép chia sẻ một số cái góc nhìn của tôi ở khía cạnh không phải là người chuyên gia về trí tuệ nhân tạo, cũng không phải chuyên về lĩnh vực công nghệ thông tin. Tuy nhiên góc nhìn của tôi thì cũng xin chia sẻ với lại tất cả hội thảo hôm nay. Có một người bạn trong lĩnh vực kinh tế cũng có chia sẻ với tôi là muốn biết được cái xu hướng phát triển của kinh tế thế giới thì tốt nhất nếu chúng ta không phải là người trong chuyên ngành thì chúng ta nhìn vào cái giá cổ phiếu và cái gọi là cái chỉ số của thị trường chứng khoán. Như vậy thì tôi cũng có theo dõi là cái nền kinh tế lớn nhất thế giới hiện nay đó là kinh tế của Mỹ. Và trong cái chỉ số chứng khoán thì tôi theo dõi những cái chỉ số lớn của Mỹ. Và một cái điều rất là thú vị, mặc dù mình không phải là lĩnh vực kinh tế, nhưng mà chỉ số đó thể hiện rằng là cái xu hướng phát triển hiện nay và cái vai trò của khoa học công nghệ trong cái phát triển của nền kinh tế thế giới. Sự định hướng của khoa học công nghệ trong vấn đề dẫn dắt nền kinh tế của thế giới. Và như vậy thì tôi thấy rằng trong cái thị trường chứng khoán của Mỹ nó có 7 chỉ số rất là quan trọng, chiếm một tỷ trọng trong cái gọi là giá trị vốn hóa của thị trường. Thì trong đó có những cái công ty rất là lớn mà các bạn đã biết, như là Alphabet, Amazon, Apple, Meta Platform, Microsoft, Nvidia và Tesla. Trong đó là rất nhiều các công ty hiện nay đang đi theo con đường là trí tuệ nhân tạo. Và nó là một cái động lực. Rõ ràng là chúng ta nhìn thấy là chúng ta có thể nghe các phương tiện truyền thông nói về cái xu hướng hot. Tuy nhiên một cái chỉ số mà tôi nghĩ rất là thực dụng đó là chỉ số chứng khoán. Nếu mà chúng ta không am hiểu gì về công nghệ, về trí tuệ nhân tạo thì chúng ta có thể theo dõi về các chỉ số này để mình thấy được cái xu hướng của công nghệ và đặc biệt là sự đầu tư của thế giới vào trí tuệ nhân tạo. Và gần đây thì các phương tiện truyền thông của Việt Nam, các bạn thấy từ nghị quyết của Đảng, những cái chính sách của chính phủ đều tập trung rất lớn cho việc thúc đẩy phát triển trí tuệ nhân tạo. Kính thưa hội thảo, thì Đại học Quốc gia Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh chúng tôi luôn coi trọng vấn đề nghiên cứu, giảng dạy và ứng dụng trí tuệ nhân tạo. Chúng tôi hiểu rằng việc kết nối và học hỏi từ những thành tựu lớn nhất, mới nhất của thế giới là yếu tố then chốt giúp chúng ta tiến bộ hơn trong cái đổi mới sáng tạo. Thì cái buổi hội thảo hôm nay cũng là một cái minh chứng cho vấn đề hội nhập quốc tế của chúng ta, là cơ hội quý báu để chúng ta, những nhà khoa học, các bạn sinh viên, học sinh, chúng ta có cơ hội tiếp cận với được những tri thức tiên tiến mới nhất từ nền kinh tế thế giới thông qua cái chủ đề hội thảo về ứng dụng trí tuệ nhân tạo hôm nay. Thay mặt lãnh đạo Đại học Quốc gia Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh, xin gửi lời chân thành cảm ơn đến tất cả các diễn giả đã có mặt hôm nay của chúng tôi để chia sẻ những kiến thức về kinh nghiệm quý báu của mình trong quá trình nghiên cứu, trong quá trình phát triển, thành lập các doanh nghiệp. Chúng tôi cảm ơn tất cả các quý vị đại biểu, các nhà khoa học, các bạn sinh viên, các em sinh viên, học sinh đã đến tham dự sự kiện này. Chúc buổi hội thảo chúng ta thành công tốt đẹp và mong rằng từ đây chúng ta sẽ có những cái hợp tác đóng góp hơn nữa cho sự phát triển của trí tuệ nhân tạo vì một tương lai tươi sáng của đất nước Việt Nam chúng ta. Xin trân trọng cảm ơn.
Xin chân thành cảm ơn những cái phát biểu rất là tâm huyết từ thầy Trần Cao Vinh. Và tiếp theo thì xin phép được trân trọng kính mời anh Vũ Duy Thức sẽ đại diện cho các nhà khoa học cũng như là những người đã rất là tâm huyết với việc đào tạo bồi dưỡng về trí tuệ nhân tạo cho thế hệ trẻ tại Việt Nam, sẽ có những lời chia sẻ trước khi chúng ta bắt đầu vào vấn nội dung liên quan đến các vấn đề về chuyên môn. Xin trân trọng kính mời bạn.
Xin kính thưa các quý vị đại biểu, xin kính thưa các thầy cô, các bạn học sinh, sinh viên. Thật ra là cái buổi sáng ngày hôm nay là buổi rất là đặc biệt, là khi mà có một cái dịp để quay về trường để cùng chia sẻ, trao đổi với các bạn. Như thầy Vinh cũng có nhắc đến thì trong những cái chuyên gia tại đây thì có những bạn, ngay cả bản thân mình cũng là sinh viên trường năng khiếu, là học từ năng khiếu và sau đó là đi du học. Cái cảm xúc mà khi mà về trường thì có cái gì đó nó rất là gần gũi, rất là quen thuộc, gặp lại những cái thầy cô, những người anh, những người bạn. Thì một trong những cái mà mình cảm thấy mà mình rất quý trong cái thời gian mà còn học ở Việt Nam, đó là có cái môi trường được một cái điều kiện được cọ sát, được học hỏi về những cái môn mà mình yêu thích, đặc biệt là môn tinh học. Thì từ những cái hành trang mà học từ những ngày ở trường năng khiếu, mà những cái bạn giống như là Thắng hay là mình là đã đi du học nước ngoài và học chuyên sâu về nhiều ngành nghề khác nhau. Thì có thể thực sự là nói rằng là người Việt của chúng ta không thua kém bất kỳ những cái dân tộc nào khác. Ngay cả ở bên Mỹ, các cái trường đại học nổi tiếng hoặc là những trường mà xuất sắc nhất ở Mỹ trong lĩnh vực công nghệ thông tin chẳng hạn, thì vẫn có rất là nhiều những cái bạn sinh viên người Việt, và sau đó là đi vào những cái tập đoàn lớn, thì các bạn đều có thể tìm được những cái người Việt gọi là chuyên gia hàng đầu trên thế giới trong nhiều lĩnh vực, và trong đó là có lĩnh vực về trí tuệ nhân tạo AI. Thì như các bạn cũng biết là AI trong thời gian vừa qua thì đã thực sự là gọi là chinh phục những cái sự quan tâm và gọi là những cái tiềm năng của thế giới, đặc biệt là trong generative AI là AI khởi sinh. Thì generative AI trong thời gian qua đã có rất là nhiều những cái bước phát triển vượt bậc và trên nhiều mặt, từ về vấn đề về phát triển chuyên môn, về kỹ thuật công nghệ, cho đến những cái ứng dụng vào đời sống hàng ngày. Thì generative AI đã bắt đầu thay đổi rất là nhiều những ngành nghề, và tương lai lại còn sẽ thay đổi rất nhiều những ngành nghề khác nữa. Cho nên không thể có bất kỳ ai có thể đứng ngoài tạm gọi là cái cơn bão AI này được. Cho nên bất kỳ ai trong chúng ta đều phải nên tìm hiểu, nên nắm được, at least là ít nhất là biết được là cái nguyên lý hoạt động của nó như thế nào, và sử dụng được cụ thể vào những cái việc gì, và từ đó mình có thể phát triển, nghiên cứu đào sâu hơn. Thì hôm nay đó là rất hân hạnh được mời được một số những chuyên gia hàng đầu trên thế giới trong lĩnh vực AI và đặc biệt là generative AI về đây để cùng chia sẻ với các thầy cô, các bạn một buổi gọi là chuyên đề, tạm gọi là chuyên đề về AI khởi sinh. Thì mong muốn của chúng tôi là có thể cung cấp được cho các bạn, các thầy cô một cái nhìn về những cái tiến bộ mới nhất trong lĩnh vực generative AI này, đặc biệt là về foundation models, nghĩa là những cái mà nền tảng cốt lõi của Generative AI và có thể trình bày một số những cái ứng dụng cụ thể của Generative AI trong nhiều những lĩnh vực khác nhau. Và cuối cùng là hy vọng là sẽ có một cái buổi panel để mà các bạn có thể đặt câu hỏi trực tiếp cho những chuyên gia này. Thì tại một cái buổi này hôm nay á, là mong muốn của chúng tôi á, là một buổi rất là thân tình, rất là gọi là người nhà trao đổi với nhau. Thành ra là mong các bạn, các thầy cô cứ nhiệt tình, thoải mái đặt câu hỏi, hoặc là có những cái trao đổi, có những cái ý kiến gì thì cứ mạnh dạn nêu lên. Thì chắc là nhường lại cho anh Triết để tiếp tục chương trình ngày hôm nay. Rất là hân hạnh được gặp các thầy cô và các bạn. Chúc một buổi làm việc rất là vui vẻ với nhau.
Và tiếp theo, đây là một trong những cái hoạt động rất là có ý nghĩa của Đại học Quốc gia Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh để gắn kết với các chuyên gia trong nước cũng như trên thế giới, không cả trong lĩnh vực về academic mà cả trong lĩnh vực về industry, để có khả năng bồi dưỡng, đào tạo và phát triển cho việc nghiên cứu và ứng dụng trí tuệ nhân tạo. Và tiếp theo đây chính là cái buổi ký kết MOU giữa Đại học Quốc gia Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh và Nurturing Institute, ghi nhận một cái bước phát triển trong hợp tác của Đại học Quốc gia Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh đối với các chuyên gia trong nước và quốc tế. Và trong chương trình lần này thì xin trân trọng kính mời thầy Phó Giáo sư Tiến sĩ Trần Cao Vinh sẽ đại diện cho Đại học Quốc gia Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh, và xin mời cả hai bạn đều là co-founders của Nurturing Institute. Xin mời anh Hương Minh Thắng cũng như anh Vũ Duy Thức sẽ cùng với thầy Trần Cao Vinh ký kết hợp tác giữa Đại học Quốc gia Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh và Nurturing Institute. Và đồng thời để chứng kiến cho buổi lễ ngày hôm nay thì xin trân trọng được kính mời các thầy, các chuyên gia cũng cùng tham gia vào trong phần ký kết. I would like to invite all the professors to join the ceremony for the MOU signing ceremony. I would like to invite Professor Pochelo. Xin trân trọng kính mời Phó giáo thầy Truyền Trần. Xin trân trọng kính mời. Okay, I would like to invite Dr. Yite. You come to the stage. And may I invite Dr. Wendy Nguyễn. Could you please also join us in the signing ceremony? Em xin trân trọng kính mời Phó Giáo sư Tiến sĩ Trần Lê Quang, Hiệu trưởng Trường Đại học Khoa học Tự nhiên. Xin trân trọng kính mời Phó Giáo sư Tiến sĩ Lâm Quang Vinh, Trưởng ban Ban Khoa học Công nghệ. Xin trân trọng kính mời thầy Trần Nam Dũng, Phó Hiệu trưởng Trường Phổ thông Năng khiếu. Chúng ta sẽ cùng tham dự vào buổi lễ ký kết ngày hôm nay. Xin trân trọng kính mời các thầy. Xin trân trọng kính mời cô Hồ Nhật Tiên cùng tham gia luôn ạ. Chúng ta vừa xong phần ký kết hợp tác giữa Đại học Quốc gia Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh và Nurturing Institute. Và tiếp theo đó là phần nội dung liên quan đến phần trình bày chuyên môn của các chuyên gia. Trong phần trình bày ngày hôm nay chúng ta sẽ có bài trình bày của tiến sĩ Lương Minh Thắng, phần trình bày của giáo sư Trần Thế Truyền và của giáo sư Pochelo. Và đại diện cho ban tổ chức xin kính mời Quý vị diễn giả là những người sẽ chia sẻ những kiến thức, những kinh nghiệm và những định hướng rất quý báu về sự phát triển trí tuệ nhân tạo hiện tại và trong tương lai. Xin mời tất quý vị lên sân khấu để nhận các món quà từ phía Đại học Quốc gia Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh. Xin trân trọng kính mời anh Lương Minh Thắng. Xin trân trọng kính mời thầy Truyền Trần. And I would like to invite Professor Pochelo, you go to the stage for the guests from the Vietnam National University to thanks your participation in sharing the very interesting talks to our participants here. Xin trân trọng kính mời Phó giáo sư tiến sĩ Trần Cao Vinh sẽ có món quà trao đến cho các vị diễn giả trong chương trình ngày hôm nay. Xin trọng kính mời thầy. Chân thành cảm ơn. Và tiếp theo là phần trình bày rất là hấp dẫn của các chuyên gia. Chúng ta sẽ có phần trình bày của mỗi chuyên gia trong khoảng thời gian khoảng 30 phút. Và tiếp theo sẽ là phần trao đổi, giao lưu. Và do chính anh Vũ Duy Thức sẽ là moderator cho phần nội dung này. Rất là mong tất cả quý vị đại biểu, quý thầy cô, tất cả các anh chị và các bạn, sinh viên và học sinh, chúng ta sẽ rất là trao đổi rất là sôi nổi và có những vấn đề đặt ra để cùng khám phá những vấn đề mới về trí tuệ nhân tạo, những tiềm năng phục vụ trong cuộc sống và những định hướng cho việc phát triển đào tạo trí tuệ nhân tạo tại Việt Nam. Và hôm nay điều rất là thú vị, đó là có rất nhiều các em học sinh từ trường phổ thông năng khiếu, có rất nhiều bạn chỉ mới là học sinh lớp 10 và rất là mong hôm nay sẽ là dịp để giúp cho các bạn có được niềm đam mê về trí tuệ nhân tạo, cũng như rằng là định hướng không chỉ riêng đi vào lĩnh vực này mà có khả năng dùng trí tuệ nhân tạo phục vụ cho nhiều vấn đề khác nhau trong cuộc sống trong tương lai. Và phần ngôn ngữ trình bày thì ban đầu có lẽ trong trao đổi thì chúng ta phải dùng tiếng Anh để trao đổi là chính. Tuy nhiên nếu như mà quý vị đại biểu, các bạn học sinh và sinh viên cần trao đổi bằng tiếng Việt thì ban tổ chức có khả năng sẽ dịch lại trao đổi dành cho các diễn giả ngày hôm nay. And regarding for the presentation, maybe I would like the very first presenter, Dr. Lương Minh Thắng, and you will share with our participants here the very interesting talks. And maybe I would like to invite Dr. Vũ Duy Thức. Can you be the moderator for all the events, for the three presentations, as well as for the talk show? Thank you very much.
Ok, xin chào mọi người. Xin chào các em học sinh phổ năng khiếu và các bạn sinh viên. Các bạn sinh viên đang ở bên phòng bên kia đúng không ạ? Ok. Thì cái buổi nói chuyện hôm nay thì chắc là em sẽ dùng tiếng Anh. Tại vì cũng có các cái khách mời người nước ngoài ở đây. Và thì cũng thoải mái thôi. Tức là cũng có rất là nhiều slide, nhưng mà có thể là có một vài slide mình có thể đi nhanh. Nhưng mà cũng sẽ có những cái slide sẽ giải thích kỹ hơn cho các bạn mới vào trường. Okay, so while waiting for the slides, I can just start talking. So I'll talk about superhuman reasoning, which I just talked yesterday. So how many of you here have attended the Gen AI Summit yesterday? How many? Okay, that's good. So only a few, right? Okay, so you will see this is a new talk. So sorry for these people here. They seen my talk yesterday, but there's a few new things. So I'll talk more later. How many people here know AI? Can you raise your hand? AI? Everyone? Okay. How many of you know machine learning? Okay, machine learning. Okay, it's pretty good. Okay, everyone. How many of you know language model? Okay, 20% of 15%. Okay, it's good. Okay, cool, cool. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. How many people here are math major? Okay, a few, okay. 10%, okay. How many people here want to do math? Maybe they win an IMO. Okay, no more IMO. How many people here want to win an IMO? Can you raise your hand? A few? Okay. No, not a lot, like 2 or 3 or something like that? Okay. What do people want to do? Oh, are we there? We're done, right? Okay, cool, cool. Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, just want to tell my journey, right? I tell this journey a few times, but maybe, well, let me tell again. So, my math journey started with a legend who glorified Vietnam 45 years ago. And I don't want to wait for much time. I think people know who I'm talking about. So, Dr. Trinh Lê, Thầy Lê Bá Khánh Trinh, right? So, 1979, he got the special prize for this very simple geometry problem. Like you have 2 circles intersect at point A, and then you have 2 point M1 and M2 traveling at the same velocity. So the question is there always a fixed point that at any point in time when as the point travel, they will have this equal distance from that fixed point. So that's the problem. And then Dr. Trinh Lê got an elegant solution, much better than the organizer. So the organizer gave him the special prize. And this is how he constructed the point. So if you get the other intersection point B, and then we cross over O1, we get B1, and cross over O2, we got B2. And then if we take P as the midpoint of B1 and B2, that's the fixed point. I think people can come back if you don't know how to, but I'm sure people will know it. Yeah, after just solving like a few minutes. Yeah, but I didn't get to the IMO team at that time. I got like maybe silver medal. I think my point around that was like number 8, but didn't get to like the team. So I quit math, so sad. Then I continued AI for 20 years. So in this talk, I'll tell more about my journey in AI. I also tell my viewpoint about how AI is going. So I think it's going from imitation test to discovery test. I'll explain to you what that means. So 2014 and 17, I have been working like deeply in translation. So you know, like in the past, when people translate, Google Translate, they break a long sentence into like phrases, and then they translate phrase by phrase. But then we changed the translation that old way entirely. We use deep learning. So we translate, it read the whole sentence, and it will just translate the whole sentence. And this is my PhD thesis defense. So you will see like Quốc right there, Andrew Ng, Chris Manning, Dan Jarabsky. These are very famous people in AI. And also, just share with people, yesterday, this is Jeff Dean. He's the god of engineer at Google. So we took this picture on the US holiday, the Independence Day of the US, July 4th. For some reason, all of us happened to be in the same room that day. Supposed to be at home, but somehow we work hard or something like that. We're in the same office, so we took this photo. So that was 7 years ago. And just 2 days ago, Jeff Dean visited Vietnam. And I think we have aged quite a lot, I'm guessing. So we took this picture again. Very glad that Jeff Dean visited Vietnam yesterday. A lot of excitement in AI. But talking about the progress, right? So deep learning is actually make a big improvement in terms of quality. So all the improvement that we got only in these last 2 years, like equal to the previous 20 years. 2014 to 16 was the time that I worked deeply in machine translation. And for those of you who don't know about deep learning, so deep learning is basically the key technology behind all the AI nowadays. Whether it is your phone that recognize your face, ChatGPT and everything. So that's deep learning. And deep learning is inspired by the human brain. So what you see here, all the dots are the neurons in the brain. And it was just like we stack multiple layers of neurons, a lot of neurons together, a lot of layers together. So it's all about like matrix multiplication. The math is actually quite simple. So people, you just need a little bit of background in math, like linear algebra and calculus. Then you can do deep learning pretty easily. So let's say you have an image here, you fit into the neural networks, and then it will go to multiple layers. Like the first layer recognize a few simple patterns, like the edges. And then those top layer will recognize like the face, the nose and the eyes, and then it will tell whether this is a cat or a dog. So that's how deep learning works. And then we can just make it much bigger. So like billions of nodes like these here. And if you have been using ChatGPT, how many people here you have been using ChatGPT every day? How many people? A lot? Yeah. So language model is the technology behind all of the ChatGPT, Gemini. It's a very simple concept. Basically, we'll just predict the next word. That's it. That's the whole concept. Let's say we give the model, like the student open there, and then we ask the model, what is the next word, right? So it could be like books, laptop, exam, or mice, and then we have these probabilities. By the model will learn these probabilities because let's say the model see a lot of sentence about the student open their laptops, and it will know that, okay, there's a high probability that it open the laptops. So basically, language model, these foundational model, they read the entire Wikipedia, like New York Times article, read the entire web, and see what word come next, and then they learn these. It's actually quite powerful. Like 10 years ago, people don't believe that you can actually just let it read everything, and then can write poems, love letters, resume, things like that. So amazing progress. And also you see everywhere, right? When you type in your phone, it suggests the next word. I'll meet you at the cafe, airport, or office. Or if you search on the web, it will predict the next word. And neural machine translation back then is also a language model. So this is just gives you a look into these kind of deep learning model. So when you have different words, right? We will first turn these words into vectors of numbers, real numbers. So then we can know what words are similar to which word by taking the distance between the vectors. And then we'll go through different layers so that it builds up the understanding of the language. So in this case, we feed in the source sentence in a different language like German, and then the model will start to produce one word at a time, like the, and then it go back and then predict the next word, protest, and it keep going until the end. So back then, my advisor didn't believe that you can actually do translation in this way. There's no way a model can just read the whole sentence and just keep saying one word at a time. My advisor, very famous in computer science, didn't believe that because everyone was used to the fact that we have to translate phrase by phrase and then reorder them together. So I think that actually tells one important point that sometimes you want to get rid of the old thing entirely and then just build up new thing from scratch. So I think as a student, you might want to, don't be afraid, right? Make big change. And also if you look at this vector, right? So this is xt, you have this is xt minus 1. You can compute a new vector xt using these formulas here. So this is just a matrix and a vector multiplications. And then this is just like a function that turns a number into a number between 0 and 1 into some bounded range. So actually quite simple, the way that deep learning was trained. So I'll talk about the next topic. So from imitation game into Turing, into discovery test. So how many people here know about the Turing test? Okay. 20%, okay. So it's a famous test in computer science. So Alan Turing, he's the father of AI. And in 1950, he devised this test where there's a church, see? And then there's a wall that the judge didn't see. They didn't know whether like A is a computer or A is a human. So the judge would talk to A and B, and then decide like who is which one is a computer, which one is a human. So if the judge can't tell which one is a human, which one is a computer, then we have passed the Turing test, or the AI system have passed the Turing test. So that's the definition of the Turing test. So for a while, I was very passionate about passing the Turing test. So I built a chatbot. It's called Mina chatbot. It can talk about anything. And it was a very difficult task at the time. But we got the very best chatbot in the world, 2020. If we have released that chatbot, then there wasn't any code red for Google or ChatGPT. I think we should have a very strong at that time. I won't go much into detail, but basically we compare with a lot of other chatbots, and then we are the best one here in terms of how much people like the chatbot, and close to humans. And this is one conversation of the chatbot. So you can ask it random thing, I like cows, and it will say, I heard they go to college. And then you ask cow go to college, and I say, I heard that a cow went to Harvard. And then you can keep going. You ask about the study, and then you ask, do horses go to Harvard? It will say horses go to Harvard. So this is a joke in English, right? So Hayward is kind of the place for the horse to stay, and Hayward plus Harvard become Harvard. So it actually was quite a cool joke at the time. But then I think it's actually become so easy for large language model, ChatGPT or Gemini these days. So for me, this is my viewpoint that I think we should go beyond what the current AI is doing. It just mimic human. It's it only mimic human how to create a poem, a resume. We should push the boundary so it can discover new knowledge. So that's my viewpoint. And I think it's probably, we actually quite close to passing this era. I think ChatGPT, Gemini are actually quite good in it can drive, I'm sure if you have used it, then you can, and a lot of people are addicted to it, right? You can keep using it for your emails. But I think I want to welcome you to the new era. I think I call it a discovery math test, because I think it is the important part because math is very fundamental. I think so. I often make a joke, right? Why do we want to do math now? Because you can be quite rich. There was a prize this year that if you have an AI that open source and get a gold medal, you get $10 million. So if you can build an AI like that, you can become pretty rich. But joke aside, I think with math, right, you got to teach AI to think very deeply. It had to make sure that it have a coherent set of thinking, all the steps. And it had to overcome the current problem of large language model, which is hallucination. So right now, ChatGPT, Gemini is really good, but sometimes it just says something it messed up, right? It's not the real things. So, and then with the capability of superhuman reasoning, I think it's actually a prerequisite. It will lead us to AGI. If you cannot do that kind of reasoning, then I think it's actually hard to go beyond, have a siêu trí tuệ, artificial general intelligence, AGI. This is one example where we try to, have close to superhuman like system, right? In some sense, alpha geometry. I think people probably have heard about it. We get close to the gold medalist in terms of solving geometry, and so there are two. By the way, this is the work with like Trill, Tony, Quốc, and Tang, and myself, and we want to solve this without using any human data at all. Because like if ChatGPT and Gemini can read a lot of text, right? Like news article in the world, it read everything. But if we want to find out example in Olympic math, these are very small amount of example compared to the vast amount of normal text. It's very hard to learn these. So we have a way to get a lot of synthetic data, like generated artificially. To train this model. But I want to say two ideas here for alpha geometry. So number one is a neurosymbolic solver, which it had two parts here. The symbolic engine, it's like a very reliable system. So if you already have most of the correct points, then it can go through the rule set, and it can derive until it gets to the goal. Let's say you want to prove certain properties like, the two angles, angle B equal angle C, given the edge AB equal AC. So you can do something like that. But for hard problem, it can't solve. Then it will go to the language model, which is supposed to be more creative. So the language model can suggest some points, like when you do like geometry in secondary school or at your age, right? You need like điểm phụ, đường phụ, right? So it suggests new points and lines, which we call the magic construction. And once you have those, it's become very easy to solve the problem. For example, like in this IMO 2018, right? We want to prove that DE parallel to FG. So if we can construct point M, which is the midpoint of AB, and point N, which is the midpoint of AC, the rest would be quite trivial to the symbolic engine because it has all the rules there. It will just do a lot of calculations. So it will eventually derive MNC is parallel to DE, MN parallel to GF, and then we have DE parallel to GF. And the way that we build these examples is just like how humans have been doing. So we just take random diagrams, like the way that we draw on our papers, and then we derive all the properties from these diagrams. So in more details, like let's say this is one random diagram, and then we apply different rules to get to different nodes here. So every node is one theorem and proof. For example, like this is one theorem and proof where you have both like the properties and the premises. So once we get to the node here, we will have some smart ways to trace back to know which part is the theorem, which part is the proof. And we also have a smart way to tell how do we build the smallest problem with the minimum set of premises to make it harder. And we actually construct like 100 millions of examples. So we have like hundreds of thousands of computers running like for 3 or 4 days. So we get like 1 billion diagrams. And this is the distribution of the diagrams. So you can see something very similar, like this is the proof length. So if you have proof length 1, it's a trivial theorem, like on the angle in the circle. If you have proof length 20, so this is the all-less circle, or the 9-point circle, which a lot of people here, I'm sure, are familiar with, right? And then even there's something crazy, right? 24/7 lengths, like steps. So this is a crazy diagram. So I don't know what that is, but it's asking for 2 equal angles. And then I think some of these examples we send to the coach, like the US IMO coach, not Potion, but I think, what's the other guy? Even Chen, yeah. He thinks that's how the problem actually can be a good problem for the IMO on the national level. Because you can look at the problem that have a long proof steps, but have a small number of premises. It's a symbol to describe. So that would be a hard problem. This is an overview of alpha geometry. So we have like a problem in natural language. we turn it into a domain-specific language. But this is like using human translation. So, but it have a nice property that it's actually corresponding quite closely. So you can translate back and forth between natural language and formal language. And then at the end of the day, we can get a nice solution that human can understand. And in the year 2015, the AI can solve 2 IMO problems. So that's equivalent to getting the bronze medal. And some solutions are actually very long, 109 steps. So what you see here, these are the points in line that the model suggests, like D midpoint of BH, G midpoint of HC, and then E midpoint of MK. And then it also figure out things like there's the LS circle here, step of 26. So last year, December, I came back to phổ thông năng khiếu, and I met thầy Nam Dũng and Dr. Trinh Lê. So let's skip this one. So I gave Dr. Trinh Lê the solution of that problem in 109 steps. So it was impressed to him, but it actually, well, I would say remarkable, but not satisfying, because I think it's like some soul. And then Dr. Trinh Lê said that he always looked for beauty in the solution. And this is something that we're not working on yet, but I hope that in the future we can find beautiful solutions, elegant solutions. And what Dr. Trinh Lê gave me was like a solution with only 20 steps compared to 100 steps that the AI used. So he used something inverse geometry, which I'm sure you will learn if you do like special math later on. So fast forward 6 months later, in July 2024, Alpha Geometry 2, this is a new version. We make a lot of improvement. I can't tell you now, but maybe we'll share in the future. But we make it much faster. We have much more data. We have 3 times more data. And we can solve the IMO geometry problem of this year in only 19 seconds. So that by the time that we have represent the problem in the language of alpha geometry, then you click the button and it solves it. So actually very powerful. And together with alpha proof, we have a system that gets the silver medal, equivalent to the silver medalist at the IMO. We solve 4 problems, and let me explain on alpha proof a little bit. So alpha geometry is a neurosymbolic system. And alpha proof is also a neurosymbolic system as well. So we have like, so there is the neural part that suggests like, what is the next proof steps. And there's a symbolic part where it can verify the solution. Because it's so similar to alpha geometry, we do it in alpha geometry language. So alpha proof does things in Lean language. So Lean is a specialized language that people use to represent mathematics. So once you represent in Lean, it can be automatically verified. So that's a neurosymbolic part, 5. Yeah. And then, there's also something interesting here is that if we do things in the formal language of Lean, right, there's even less data. Like it's hard. You can't find much problem in Lean language. So there need to be some kind of neural networks, like formalized network that turn normal problem in natural language into formal language, Lean, and from which the AI can keep trying. So it try to solve this problem. If it can solve, that's good. It put it back into the knowledge base, and if it can't solve, it also put back into the knowledge base. So it keep trying. It's like like playing game, AlphaGo game. You keep playing game, and then it becomes smarter and smarter. So that's the flavor of alpha proof. And we got 28 points, so just 1 point away from the gold medal. And this is the team that I built in Mountain View. So I call this team Superhuman Reasoning. It was an intense time, like 6 months. So we worked like 20x, 200% time, fully focused to get to the silver, to get to IMO. And on the IMO day, we all wake up around 5 a.m. And then, this is the first day. But I want to say one thing, like, what does it mean for Vietnam, right? So we look at last January this year, we have 3 Vietnamese. So Trill, Quốc, and me. And then 6 months later, we have some Vietnamese here. So can anyone guess how many Vietnamese are there in this figure? 4? Okay. 4, okay, so 5. Okay, so somehow someone know that there are 4 Vietnamese. So maybe you've talked before. So yeah, that's 4. So we have Hoang as well. So the new one, also from Phổ Thông Năng Khiếu. Yeah. So pretty proud of these people. I think Vietnamese students love math, so I hope you do. I think math is important for deep learning. I hope there are more Vietnamese to work on superhuman reasoning. Maybe join my team if you did great. Maybe do something impressive, and then I'll welcome you to my team. And actually, I have some nice photo for you to share with you. I met Thầy Trinh at the IMO 2024. I didn't get to the IMO 20 years ago, but I think thanks to AI helped me got the silver medal. And I got to attend the IMO ceremony for the first time in my life. And then I met Posen randomly. Well, I met him first at the ceremony, but we just talked, right? But then when we get back, by random chance, we met at the airport. And then we invite, me and Wendy, invited him to Vietnam. So that's how he's here today with all of you. So I think it's an amazing story. So also meet with the team, IMO 24 team. I think that's it. I just want to say, my viewpoint is I want to encourage people to think beyond the imitation test, to think about how we can do discovery, right? Discovery, not just solving unsolved problems, but also in other fields like drug discovery. And with that, thank you. I guess I run out of time, right? So should we do 1 or 2 quick questions? Okay. And then we do yeah. Any questions? Or we can do the panel later. Oh, yeah? Yeah. Em đừng nói đi. Okay.
Yeah, hello teacher.
Yeah.
And I am the math teacher at education at Saigon University. And I am here to learn about how to use some AI in teaching math and in learning math. And after your communication and or you speak about this, then I want to ask you that how to solve, how can we solve an geometry problem, but without AI, because sometimes I look at some image that I don't understand how to solve. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
So the question is how does AI help with learning geometry better? Is that the question?
Without AI help. Without.
Oh, how to solve geometry problem without AI help? Oh, I think you should go ask Thầy Nam Dũng, right? You ask the teacher here. So he will explain to you how to do, or Thầy Trinh, right? Or Dr. Trinh Lê. So they will explain to you. But I think, but actually I think AI can, I think the alpha geometry, we actually want to bring it to the public, so then maybe it can help people learn geometry better. I think some people are complaining that because of alpha geometry, the Vietnamese team didn't do well this year. So they don't give hard geometry problem this year. They give easy one, and then there's harder like problem 5, and problem 3 and 6. So Anyway, I actually want to make alpha geometry more useful to people. You know, like maybe bring it into the public so they can learn it more. Like play around with the alpha geometry and then see how things change and learn new properties. So that could be something that we do next. Yeah.
Thanks for the nice talk. Yeah, I have a question about the synthetic data that you generate. So how do you avoid hallucination in that case? So for example, how do you know that when you generate something new, then it's something that valid, but it's not generate something because the amount of data is very large, right? Thank you.
That's a very good question. So I didn't explain in detail, but we have the symbolic engine. So there's a symbolic engine called DDAR. So it's an existing symbolic engine that works like deductive database with like work on rules, and then we expand it into like working on like algebraic reasoning. So we can verify perfectly. So, which is also the reason why we have to operate in alpha geometry language. So that's the domain-specific language that we're working on. But that language is actually very close to natural language. So and whenever we can generate the example in that language, we can verify perfectly. Maybe we can talk more at the panel. I'll yield back the time for other people. Okay, Trey. Yeah. Okay. Maybe you can give an introduction about yourself.
Cảm ơn các thầy cô và các bạn học sinh sinh viên. Đây là lần thứ hai tôi đứng ở giảng đường này rồi. Lần đầu thì tháng 4 năm vừa rồi cũng có một cái talk cho các bạn sinh viên khoa công nghệ thông tin. Nhưng hôm nay thì có nhiều cơ hội hơn để nói với các bạn học sinh phổ thông. Do you have my slide? Yeah, I did send to. Chết không phấu lại.
dốc núi vực sâu đạn bom hay khói lửa, dù nắng cháy thì ra, dù mưa hay giông tố, truyền thống 1000 năm, dù tiến bước bàn chân, màu máu năm trào dâng. Đi ta đi theo bước chân của ông cha, rừng xây quê hương non nước tươi đẹp ngàn hoa, là lời đất nước gọi ta, là lời đất nước gọi ta. Một ý chí sục sôi, một trái tim cháy bỏng, một đất nước tự do, một quê hương yêu dấu. Nào tiếp bước đón ta, vì đất nước ngàn hoa, cùng thế giới hòa ca. Đi ta đi theo bước chân của ông cha, rừng xây quê hương non nước tươi đẹp ngàn hoa, là lời đất nước gọi ta, là lời đất nước gọi ta. Sâu đạn bom hay khói lửa, dù nắng cháy thì ra, dù mưa hay giông tố, truyền thống 1000 năm, dù tiến bước bàn chân, màu máu năm trào dâng. Đi ta đi theo bước chân của ông cha, rừng xây quê hương non nước tươi đẹp ngàn hoa, là lời đất nước gọi ta, là lời đất nước gọi ta. Một ý chí sục sôi, một trái tim cháy bỏng, một đất nước tự do, một quê hương yêu dấu. Nào tiếp bước đón ta, vì đất nước ngàn hoa, cùng thế giới hòa ca. Đi ta.
Sorry for the hiccup. So I'm switching to English now. So my name is Chuan Tran. I'm a professor at Dick University in Melbourne, Australia. So I'm a head of AI and application of AI to health and science. So whenever I'm introduce myself as a professor of AI, and then people ask me how can you become a professor of AI, and my standard response was that don't quit, because it's a long road, right? If you quit, then you can't become a professor. So to run with what Tang mentioned about math Olympiad, it's my story. Story started 1997 at Physics Olympiad. It was me, thin, skinny, and it was my first time to travel. My first time to travel overseas, first time to sit on an airplane. And then I didn't have nice shoes or vest. I borrowed from my father, so it looked a bit ridiculous. So over looked ridiculous by the time compared to today's standards. The pictures that Tang showed on the national teams, it looked much better, much cooler than we was. But the sentiment was the same, right? It was cool by the standard at the time. I got some medal by luck. That was the starting point where I first heard about AI, right? By the time there wasn't any mention of AI whatsoever. But I heard from my friends who did informatics, right? Specialized informatics, that he mentioned there was AI things happening, and then I heard about it. But the story, because I was in physics, so I was super curious about the brain, right? How the brain works, how nature works. And for some reason, the same question happened long time ago, 70 years ago. By the time the sentiment was so good, people say, oh, the two things important nowadays, because that's after the Second World War, and people feel excited about the new thing, and then start asking what's next, right? And one big thing people think about is how to understand brain, right? Another question is that how do we make it, right? So 70 years passed, we haven't got very close to answering the two questions yet, but we get somewhere in the middle, right? Like neuroscience, try to understand how brain works. I think it's a lot of detail there, a new understanding there, but still far from how actually intelligence works, we don't know yet, right? How to build one, quite close, but still far, I guess. So to the public, the AI progress look like this. It went quiet, nothing happens, until boom, ChatGPT, right? 2 years ago, 1.5 years ago. Everyone knew about it. Right? That's how the public perceive AI. And to some degree, it's kind of semi-correct because the amount of computation, the amount of data, the size of the model, the capabilities suddenly become a huge thing that we never experienced before, right? So now, with the current AI, we are able to ask like very interesting question. And let's say one of the things that I've been thinking for a long time is that how would you build a friend, a digital friend, right? That talk to us, interact with us, be helpers, be friends, right? Then the question, how do we interact with that kind of AI, right? Now we have ChatGPT, everyone chat to it, talk to it. And I think Mina, by the time when I first heard about it, or Lambda by the time before it was amazing, right? People start interacting, and some people went crazy saying that, oh, it's a new kind of species, and it can think and feel and conscious about itself, and that much people think about. And then still the question, how can you build it, right? Of course, this day, ChatGPT is about text, but in the recent months, we have multimodalities, text, vision, sounds, all other modalities. Even now, we can integrate the DNA into the model if we want to. Not everyone doing it yet, but there's no like difficulty of doing so, right? The real difficulty. And then we have to talk about the embodiment, like the AI with the real body. And then the AI had to understand others, right? With the theory of mind, how to make a guess about what other people are thinking. So all kind of things like that. Now we are able to ask and start answering those questions. The important thing, though, is to understand that the AI is not something that's so specialized. It's not built for a special purpose. It's not built for running a car. It's not built for cleaning the house. It's built for the general purpose. It's like electricity. Right? Once you have electricity, you can do a lot of things with that. Right? There's no special purpose with AI. And then we can start thinking about what kind of AI is we want to have. The first thing that I think it's been the last 10 years or so we have had in our phone and at home is a kind of automation that the AI can do things for us. Right? And then now, in the last 2 years or so, we start having the new kind of AI that's kind of like assistant to us. Let's expand our capabilities. We can remember longer. We can think more clearly. Like for example, with the alpha symmetry, we can do math, right? So it can help to understand better. Like one of the research that I do is try to use AI to understand natures and materials, chemistries. Right? So we have to help us to understand better. And then some people dream even further, saying that, oh, look, maybe at some point the AI have its own life, its own goal, and then start being autonomous and maybe killing us at some point. Right? It's too far from now, but people start dreaming, right? So to me, modern AI point out to one question: how can we build or how we can learn a Turing machine, right? So Tang just mentioned the Turing test. This one is a slightly different concept. So Turing machine is something like this. Oh, okay. It keep running. Back. Okay, like this. So Turing machine needed conceptual models, saying that with the right instruction or construction, we can build a machine that can simulate anything we like to simulate. Right? So we can build as a silicon, we can build a mechanical system as it. It does the same function. So this is performance different, but the same. So to me, the AI, to answer the question that how can they design the program, they can learn to program. Right? That's two parts. Right? The program, which is code, and then that program learn to program, to generate another code. For some part, alpha geometries have done so. Right? You generate the link code, you generate other things that is verified by other programs. So that was my question for a long, long time. And now start seeing the progress along these directions. So back a bit of history, when 2008, I finished my PhD. And it was one of the results that came out of my PhD. And it was published 9 years later. There was a story about it. Right? I finished, I got a conference paper accepted to NRIPS, and I want to extend to the journals. But then by the time my topic died, right? That's the thing I advise a lot of students, don't do this. Right? If you're going to work on a topic that's going to die, work on something you're going to live for long, right? 10 years, 20 years. Don't work for something you're going to die. But my topic was dying. So I stopped publishing. Only when the deep link became new thing again, I resubmitted to a journalist and got accepted. And there was no review. Why? Because of this thing. It looked ridiculous. A lot of math. No reviewer dared to review it. And the editor decided to accept it without reviewing. It was ridiculous because I said, look, there's something really wrong here. We wouldn't do the kind of AI that's so complex. Even the specialists in the field, which is AI, journal, is one of the best. They refuse to review it. Right? It's something not right. Right? So I quit this kind of directions. And just Tang said, sometimes we need to rebuild, right? Throw away the past, relearn, and rebuild. Right? That's the story of the AI field evolves over time. We learn something, got some lesson. Sometimes we have to throw what we have learned and restart it fresh. And then 4 years ahead, after that, I start have a feeling that machine learning, by the time AI become machine learning, because no one dare to say I'm working on AI, but people really say I'm working on machine learning. It's new kind of AI, right? And I started have a feeling that, there must be some turning point here, right? So by the time, if you're old enough, you remember things like support vector machines, kernel methods. They all convex optimization problems, right? And for those in math, you really know what convex is. But the problem is that in AI, by the time machine learning times, convex machine learning doesn't work. It didn't work. But something else started working, non-convex. The things that we couldn't go find a global minimum at all, because it's too hard to find out. And I started feeling there's something happening. I wrote a blog post about it. I didn't know. Just a few months later, AlexNet came. And then it was a defining moment of the modern AI. AlexNet was a neural networks that went over all other networks by the time in the ImageNet challenge. So it's a defining moment for the modern AI, and I think it's starting point for the current modern AI. So fast forward 4 years later, we got the AlphaGo, and later the AlphaZero. It won, it beats the champion in Go, Gove. Okay. The event was so, it attracted a lot of attention. That's because in the area of East Asia, with more than 1 billion people, there are a lot of people playing Go, right? A lot of people. And it got all the government in the East Asia excited, especially Koreans and Chinese governments. And the Chinese government, by the time, they published a national charity saying that by 2030, I'm gonna win. Right? I'm gonna beat the US, be number one. Right? I think it's the kind of sentiment moment that defining the race, AI race that we see today. And then just 1 year later, Andrei Kavati is one of the hot boys at the time. He said, software is doomed, right? We're gonna do the new software anyway. We're gonna build software that using neural networks instead of writing codes like we do today. Yeah, it's kind of half true today, I guess. And then 1 year later, with my friends working for the Ministry of Information and Communications, we wrote a a document sent into the minister by the time. And they said, look, the AI scene have changed. And now the world have changed. And Vietnam have a chance to step into it because the AI ecosystem is so advanced already, right? So there's no barrier of entries. We can start coming in. And then by the time I have make a statement saying that, look, this is a plan I wrote, I correct my friend, but it should have been written by AI itself instead of by human. It wasn't possible at the time. But I bet this day, if anyone keen enough, serious enough to do the same thing, you would be able to use AI to produce almost the same documents. Or better quality, I would say, because you have access to the vast information, like million documents, economics, statistics and everything, policy and everything. So you can write up a document that's much better than the one that I wrote, right? And then, the sentiment was so high, I said, look, now the time any nation need to be prepared for itself, otherwise it's too late, right? And then still hold true this day, basically the internet players that hold the control of the AI space, not the government, not the academics anymore. So 1 year later, there was a post, like an essay by Rick Sutton, one of the best reinforcement researcher. He said, look, for the 70 years of history, a lot of things have been done, but only two things, I think only one thing he said only one thing that stands out and really works is this, the thing that it can make use of computations. If the algorithms can scale with computations, you're going to win. And you're going to win by the definite win, not some marginal wins, right? Definite wins. And he found that the two things that are going to scale like this is search and learning. So you can see from the alpha geometry, you have at least two components, or AlphaGo, two components, learning, machine learning, and the search part, right? Two together in combinations give you the result that you see today. And the sentiment went so high that Jeff Hinton, one of the best guys in deep learning, he said, oh, my technique gonna do everything. Right? Of course, people say, no, not gonna do that, but, well, at least you have the point, right? And for the last 4 years, you see a big changing in the AI landscape. From 2000, we didn't have much to say about AI, but then today, 2024, 25, we're going to have, almost everything done by AI. I think they're going to solve the text problem, they're going to solve the sound problem, they're going to solve the image problem, and then the next one definitely is video problems, right? And you may ask question, what's next afterwards? We don't know yet, but at least give you the text, give you the video, it captures, I think, 80% of our attention already in the real life already. So it's a big deal, right? So we talk about Gen AI. I didn't mention the keyword Gen AIs, but pretty much the modern AIs and the talk at the summit yesterday was about Gen AI. So it's pretty much LM, ChatGPTs, and the whole range of things that happening at the same time. And it's so powerful. And the question is, why it's so powerful, right? We didn't have those kind of power before. So there are a lot of reasons for it. So from my point of view, there are at least 3 reasons. One is that they compress the entire world's data into the weight. And the weight is so many. Like let's say we have 100 billions easily, or up to 2 trillion this day. There's so many parameters. So I remember I attend one of the optimization conference in Hanoi, and people say that, oh, I'm going to optimize for 5 variables, 3 variables, perfect. But now we have 2 trillion variables to optimize, right? And that's computer still happily doing so, no complaint. Right? Unlike human, we complain all the time. Computer doesn't complain at all. And second is that I think it's more profound that the Gen AI models. They kind of build kind of the program database. I mentioned earlier that one of our aim is to build a machine that can program. We haven't done so perfectly yet, but at least we have one too, is that the Gen AI models, they are kind of learning to discover the program hidden behind the data, and then they store into it. So when it prompt it kind of calling the right program for you to answer the questions. So we're not there yet in the perfect sense that I mentioned earlier, but we are quite close, right? And then the last point that it built kind of old models, right? Imagine that AI can gonna read all the YouTube videos. And all YouTube videos have a lot of things, like a lot of action, a lot of motion, a lot of actor, a lot of kind of crazy thing interactions. What if the modern AI gonna learn from all those videos? It can kind of learn how the world works, at least the physical world works. So, like you can imagine things like robots, driving cars, self-driving cars, and other things. So it's gonna happen. I think in a few years' time. Not this year, I guess, but in a few years' time. And one thing is that I learned from the last 20-something years that I've been studying AI that it keeps changing every 5 years or 10 years or so. And now it's changed again. For the last 4 years, it changed again. Now, we started with, for those who old enough to study in the 2000, we built SVM, we built recent trees, and we built everything, random forest. That was the 2000 things. 10 years later, we have transformer, and we do not need to build model anymore. We just need a good data, and that's enough to do good AI. But in modern day, we don't even do that, not to do that. There's no need to build model because Google, Facebook, X, IBM, they build for us already. Our job is to learn. I think we have expert here, Itae here, Dr. Itae here, build some for us. You're gonna answer in the in the panel discussions, right? So our job today is just to prompt it, just basically to ask the right questions so that it can answer the question for you. So the emphasis right now is on how to prompt responsibly. Or of course, the builder would build things that have the guarding, have the things that try to make sure that the model doesn't do crazy things. But the practice of AI changed for the last 10 years. Yep. And not just this, and the practice changed so much that there's a new concept, it's called the last mile or first mile technology. The last mile technology is just like, if for those who attend the summit yesterday, there was a Arimo robot. It was a last mile delivery, right? It come to the human. But then the Gen AI technologies that we see today is a first mile technology, so that it doesn't directly deal with human. It deals with the general understanding of the world and general understanding of the data, so that we can build anything we like on top of it, right? So the thing changed. The practice of building AI changed. So we used to build end-to-end model, right? From data collection to labeling to building model, fantastic modeling, and then testing and verifying with 1,000 or 100,000 of data points. Thing already changed. So this day, you can have 2 data points. You still build a model out of it because you can prompt it, like in contextualing. That's a cool concept of the day. You can prompt it. Still have the own model, right? And within the research itself, things already changed, right? We used to build a lot of models. I used to build a lot of models. For every single problem, I build a single build model for that particular problem. I work on healthcare, I work on science, I work on business process software. I build a lot of models for those domains. But this day, I do not need to build those models anymore, right? All I need to do is to wearing the scientist hat, and here's a system that already there. What is the behavior that I don't know, I want to understand? So moving from an engineer to a scientist, from building things to understanding things. It's a shift, big shift in the research practice as well. And a lot of professors are really unhappy about it because they're not prepared for it, right? So a bit of warning for those who overtrain as an engineer, think of already move on, right? And then of course, Tang already mentioned the superhuman reasoning, but to be fair, it's still a missing component. We got everything we need, but still something not satisfying yet, right? So we're going to build it in the next few years or so. And what's reasoning, right? People ask me all the time. There's no easy definition of reasoning, but my working definition is that it's a system that can do, it can produce something new for you, right? It produces something new. It can learn from it, but it can produce something new as well. Because everything new every day, right? We do reasoning because you do the math and the proof, you haven't seen proof before, right? The math is probably new, but you still be able to prove it because you know how to approach the problems. That's the kind of reasoning we have in human, but machines still a bit far from it. Hopefully we're gonna have it in the next few years, but not now yet, right? So there are many ways to view reasoning at the modern AI thing. So one of the views I think is the program thing is try to For a problem, we try to generate the program so that it can verify, they can run it, and they give us the result. Right? Another way, it's for those who work on deep learning, it's more like conditional computation. It means that there's a universe of a lot of million, a trillion of different pathways. You pick on the right one that gives you the answer. It's called conditional computation. We do not need all computation we want. We just need only a few that give you the answer. That's similar to how our brain works, because our brain is big, but it needs only 20 watts of energy to run it at a time. So very little. Right? And then going further, it can go like human level at the recursive reasoning. We think about someone reasoning, and that one, something you think about somebody else reasoning is kind of more recursive. Or you can think far in the future, imagining ourselves in the future. That's called recursive, because we think about the person that's going to think in the future, right? So we keep going like that for long. We're not there yet, but might be in next 10 years or so. So that's one of the systems that we built for video understanding, question answering on the video. We built everything by hand. By the time there wasn't the technique like LM, multimodality LM techniques that we can use, but we built everything by hand. So to give example that a video is very long, but then for each question, only few frame or few objects are relevant to those questions. So you need to pick those things, right? It's conditional in the sense that you need only few. And we build the computational graph on the fly, right? We don't have computational graph predefined by hand, but based on data or question, we build on the fly. So it's a program synthesis in that sense. And now, of course, we have LM, and then we can start using it to answering a very deep question. That's still one of, I think, a missing piece for the generic LM system this day, that it doesn't do a very good job of looking at the individual objects with the query yet. It does a good thing, but at this detail level, very detailed level, not yet. So that's one of the works that we are working on with our student, PhD student, try to bring the generic LM to the new capabilities. And then other things that I do as a part of my job is to understand materials, right? So we use a generative AI to generate new kind of design. We work on a battery design, new kind of battery. So this kind of fuel structure that we generate and validate by the quantum simulations. So it's a very, very interesting thing happening right now using AI technologies as a scientist to help you to discover new things, right? Yeah, so going forward, I think Thang already mentioned system 1, which is something like deep learning this day. System 2, which is he's trying to do as well. And then we have something like human who has a memory to store a lot of things. And then going further with social interaction, we need to understand other human as well, or other AI as well. So it's kind of like a system I'm imagining that I'm gonna build, or with other people gonna build it. So yeah, modern AI is it's a miracle in the sense it gives us a room to ask tough questions, like difficult questions, like can it do science? Yes, it can do science to some degree. Can it work with it can be conscious. Is it like feel being there, have personality and things? Possibly. We're not there yet, but possibly. What if all modality around the world can be connected? Now we are already connect vision and language. It may be connected our own protein and DNAs, medical records and everything. We could connect those things because there's technologies there for connections. And everyone start talking about AGI. It had been a long concept, but I think it wasn't possible before. But now people start thinking, oh, it may be approaching very soon, very, very soon. But not 10 years, maybe a couple of years. So the sentiment is so high at this stage. And then the last question is that we're going to have the quantum computer not too soon, but at least happening in the next 10 years or so. What does AI would look like, right? If we have the quantum computers, how does the quantum AI look like, right? We don't know yet, but at least it gives us a room to think about, right? So for those who keen, the author, futurist Ray Kurzweil, he writes, he make a prediction all the time, but his latest book that is quite close. The singularity is kind of like system that like surpass human capabilities. He said it quite clear, quite close. So whether or not it's true, let's see, right? So pretty much my talk. I hope that you got excited enough, and I'm prepping for the next rock professor. He's gonna cheer up a bit more. Okay. We have time for questions. have a question? Time a question at all, or can move to the 5 minutes? Yes. Can, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you too clearly. Anyone can help with a microphone? Or I can come down.
I have a question like in Google we have the alpha geometry and alpha proof, so it can prove the math and solve the math. So I think about the solving the physics like alpha physics or something like that. So what is your point of view of this, and what is the path we need to go to achieve that and to solve the singularity?
The part of singularity, I don't know. Okay, I can't answer that. The part of physics is part of the thing that I'm thinking about. I guess it's very possible. There's no limit on what we can do with physics. Maybe something missing though is that in physics you need to have the intuitions, like a physical intuitions. When some people say something, you kind of, without describing in detail, you kind of have a feeling what it sound like, look like. So the kind of common sense you feel like. Right now, we're not totally there yet in that true sense. But I think the school physics probably will there yet, because school physics are quite constrained by the range of knowledge that they provide. So I'm very positive that alpha physics or something like that are going to happen soon at the international physics Olympiad level. But then I guess it's the bottleneck would be the understand the common sense that we humans have for free since birth. Right? We got 15 years or 20 years of observing the world and then get that intuitions. Model right now has not had that yet. But I guess if they can watch a lot of videos about physical world, probably they could. Not too much about like nuclear physics and thing, because not so many video about that. But at least everyday mechanics, thermomechanics, maybe we could answer some. Yeah, probably not all, but I'm positive that we could do some. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes?
Hi, Professor. Your talk is very inspiring, and so it has reminded me of this very heated debate in art recently. People have been very conscious about the fact that AI has been taking inspiration from other artists, copying their style in a sense to generate new art. And so I want to ask you, I want to know your personal stance on this. Do you think that is plagiarism that AI is doing, or is it just the same as us humans taking inspiration from other artists? Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's a good question. There's no definite answer. It's more a subjective answer. Actually, we humans steal a lot. And they're saying that in art that the best artists steal. Not in the physical sense, but it's still the ideas, style. So like a high level things. In real art, actually, people want to have the personalities that I think the AI right now is still missing. They want to have an idea, personalities that provoke thinking. Whereas AI these days is more like mixing up the known art into some form that please to the eye to see. But the personality is still missing. But I guess there's no limit into that. AI could have personality too. So I don't see the limitation, like a fundamental limitation in there. But whether or not we accept that as a new art or ethical things, I'm not artist myself, so I don't have much concern about it. I'm happy if anyone steal my slide and things. Because that's how teacher go. ask students to steal the knowledge and go and do something about it. I'm fine with it, but I guess artists would be very unhappy, I would say, because they're feeling stolen. I'm sorry, I don't have a very definite answer for you, but yeah. Yes, you, yeah.
I want to ask you one question is that is it possible to create a simulated environment or world nearly similar to Earth on computers with humanoid characters implementing the model of artificial brain made from modular neural networks, which each handle different regions of the brain with giving continuous external and internal states like five senses, see, hear, smell, taste, and from the environment, also the hunger and the fatigue as input, and also sending actions like limb, eye, body movement, and speech as output. Then train them aiming to survive in that resource-limited environment, then develop to think and behave like humans.
Well, it's a very, very deep question, I would say.
I think it's maybe too long.
No, it's a very deep question worth asking. I think it's a very good question to ask. The two, I think, a couple of dimensions to it. One is that possible to simulate one like human? I think there's no limit because unless we talk about consciousness, which is I don't understand. Right? If we talk about physical level, molecular levels, we could simulate everything we could. There's no limit. Even emotion it's actually, emotion we think, oh, it's a human thing, but actually it's chemical. You inject certain chemical into the brain, you have exact emotion. That the drug does for you, right? So you can simulate the feeling by the drug using drug. And drug is just a molecule, and molecule is just an arrangement of atom, and that of informations and structure and things. So that's exactly what I'm doing with the material, with the battery design. There's no difference in terms of the scientific approach. Your question is deeper in the sense that can that simulated world, in that simulated world, the agent can develop something like human? I have a different hypothesis is that in the simulated world, maybe the we will never have the perfect condition for simulation, so that the AI will develop in a slightly different way, quite parallel to us. So I often say that, oh, look, we can fly and we have the wings for the airplane, but we never flap the wings, right? Because it's not efficient. And AI may develop along that way, like parallel to what humans develop. They may have different behavior. Actually, they have different behavior right now. We try to force back to human because we humans tend to think that it's like human, but it is no need to be that, right? So, yeah, whether or not it look like human, I don't know, but there's no need for it. If it's being useful, then it's being useful in many ways, not just human way. We human, sometimes we're not very useful. You know, we just try to waste our time. You know, so in that sense, AI is no good for it, right?
Yeah. So thank you.
I think we run out of time.
Maybe I just have a question just to hear from your point of view, because I saw that you have like a plan for Vietnam, for AI for Vietnam from 2018 and so. And now if we look at the Magnificent Seven, like the top 7 technology company on S&P 500, then probably the total amount of resources, capital that they pour into AI is like maybe the entire GDP of Vietnam right now, even more. So like where is our chance? Like what can we do like for that? And you mentioned in one slide, say the last mile AI. Then probably I'm just like thinking maybe we cannot do the fundamental research, like the more one that you have to pour a lot of resources in that. But maybe we can do something the last mile AI, which is like, I don't know if you're aware of that, but it's like Tuổi Trẻ has a series of paper, like article about like logistics. And Vietnam is facing fierce competition from China, even in our homeland. So like people buying from China is faster than even like from Vietnam. And then like, and they have a lot more resources. And maybe we can do something about that. So I just want to hear your idea about that. Thank you.
Yeah, my original thinking was that the AI these days are more democratic in the sense that everyone can join. The world is connected. We're not isolated. If we talk about Vietnam as an entity, but we are very highly connected. So a flow of talent, flow of technologies, a flow of finance, they're everywhere. So I think it's, at the national level, it's the best to build what we call a kind of like attraction point, so that thing can flow into it, rather than have a competitive mindset saying that I have to win, I have to beat this guy. We're not going to do it. Our neighbor is too big, 20 times bigger than us, and economy 100 times bigger than us. So there's no chance we beat those guys, right? The best is to be connected with them and see what we can participate in the whole chain, the value chains. That's what I see. Fundamental research, yes. There is no shortcut to high tech without really deep technology and know-how, right? On the surface, it's not going to serve it very well. And it, yeah, I talked to tech people here as well. They wanted, they demo something like this and that. I said, look, people with ChatGPT, this they can do in no time. Don't do it, right? Even compete with the best technology available, you're going to lose anyway, right? So the way to create the value is maybe different, think differently rather than competing. I guess it's a losing game. Try to compete. Yeah. Now it's time for our rock star professor. He's gonna show the different kind of professor you never experienced before in your life. Want to connect to? You're going to help me with the... Anyone, please help with the connection if you... You want to show some slides, I guess? Okay.
Test. Hello, test. This is the volume of that one. Can you turn it up? Can you increase the volume? Make it bigger? Is it this? Integrated voltage amplifier. Which one is it? Is it this one? No. Which one make it bigger? Test. Does any one of these go up? Test.
Dốc núi vực sâu đàn bom hay khói lửa, dù nắng cháy thì ra, dù mưa hay sóng tố, truyền thống 4000 năm, dù biết bước bàn chân, bầu máu năm trào dâng, đi ta đi theo bước chân của ông cha, rừng xây quê hương non nước tươi đẹp ngàn hoa, là lời đất nước gọi ta, là lời đất nước gọi ta. Ý chí sục sôi, một trái tim cháy bỏng, một đất nước tự do, một quê hương yêu dấu. Nào tiếp bước đón ta, vì đất nước ngàn hoa, cùng thế giới hòa ca. Đi ta đi theo bước chân của ông cha, rừng xây quê hương non nước tươi đẹp ngàn hoa, là lời đất nước gọi ta, là lời đất nước gọi ta. Sâu đạn bom hay khói lửa, dù đang cháy thịt ra, dù mưa hay sóng tố, truyền thống 4000 năm, dù tiếp bước bàn chân, màu hoa năm trào dâng. Đi ta đi theo bước chân của ông cha, là lời đất nước gọi ta, là lời đất nước gọi ta. Một ý chí sục sôi, một trái tim cháy bỏng, một đất nước tự do, một quê hương yêu dấu. Nào tiếp bước đoàn ta vì đất nước ngàn hoa, cùng thế giới hòa ca. Đi ta đi theo bước chân của ông cha, giữ xây quê hương non nước tươi đẹp ngàn hoa. Là lời đất nước gọi ta, là lời đất nước gọi ta. Đi ta đi theo bước chân của ông cha, giữ xây quê hương non nước tươi đẹp ngàn hoa. Là lời đất nước gọi ta, 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 là lời đất nước gọi ta.
No, they don't know how to control it. They don't know how to turn on the video. So, do I just go? Okay. Does anyone say anything first, or do I just go? Okay. Okay, just go. Hello. I guess we can go ahead and get started. Yes, I was trying to plug in my own microphone, but it seems like if you figure out how to turn on that piece, then we can use my microphone. Otherwise, we use this. But it's nice to meet all of you. I want to know a bit about the audience. How many people here are high school students? Okay. How many people here are university students? Okay. Nice mix, nice mix. And it's a real pleasure to be able to come to Vietnam. I actually had impression of Vietnam from early in my life because when I was a student, I was growing up in Madison, Wisconsin. It's a state in the United States. Does anyone know where Wisconsin is? A few people? I show you. Wisconsin is there. It is a very cold place. It's different from here. Here is a very warm place. But when I was in Wisconsin, I actually did math competitions. And I qualified to represent my state as one of the 4 people representing state of Wisconsin at the National Mathematics Competition when I was about 12 years old. And the coach for the Wisconsin was Vietnamese. This was my first impression of Vietnamese person. She was tough. She was tough. She was great coach, great coach. She made us work harder than we ever knew before. Okay? Wisconsin, not very famous state. Okay? Wisconsin, does anyone know what we are famous for in Wisconsin? Cheese. Cows. Wisconsin has cows that make cheese. But when she was the coach, the Wisconsin team ranked number 3 in the entire USA. So this Vietnamese lady, she was good. This is what she looked like. She was very good. Her name tag says Z-E-E because her name was D-I, and she said people in America do not know how to pronounce Vietnamese D, so she always wrote Z-E-E. Apparently that's how you pronounce D. Z. So she said everyone called me Z. That was me. That was me a long time ago. I'm this guy. Okay? But this coach, eventually she retired. And the person who replaced her was another Vietnamese guy. The other Vietnamese guy, he took the state of Wisconsin, which is in the middle of nowhere, okay? And he made it so that Wisconsin, let me see if I can find the news. This is a very old website. Okay, if you want to find Vietnamese, you search for Nguyen. So the next guy, who's also Vietnamese, he took the state of Wisconsin to rank number 1 in the entire USA. So this was my impression of Vietnamese people. They seem to know math. Actually, I was not on that team. This is not me. I am Po Shen Lo. This is my younger brother. So that's how I still knew that there was the replacement who was the other Vietnamese guy. I just want to let you know I've had huge respect for Vietnamese people for a very long time because they can win. There was a comment before about what can Vietnam do. You can win, so that's pretty good, right? Okay, and actually win with some tiny state called Wisconsin that no one here has ever heard of. Okay, if you win and you're the coach of New York, is it surprise? No. If you win and you're a coach of California, is it surprise? No. If you win and you're coach of Wisconsin, is it surprise? Yes. So that's my impression of Vietnamese people. Okay, actually, I also want to say, you can probably tell from these that I'm actually kind of old. The first picture was taken before US and Vietnam had diplomatic relations, 1995. So I'm actually quite old. I did all of those contests in 1995. And because I did them so long ago, the way we learned was totally different from today. See, I said she's a great coach. These were great coaches. But they actually didn't tell us how to do all the problems. They just gave us problems, we work on them, and they had high expectations, but we studied on our own and we learned how to do very important skill. Back then, the way you learn how to do math contests was that we would learn this. Learn to solve problems you have never seen before. And that's different from learning how to do math by someone showing you how to do and then practice. Actually very different, because we didn't have that kind of resource back then. Actually, even today, the way the US team became so strong is not because I did anything. Some of you know, for 10 years, I was the national coach of US International Math Olympiad team. Some of you also know that during that time, USA ranked #1 in the world 4 times. And what I always told people is I didn't teach them anything. See, if you coach US math team, it means they teach you. Okay, so only thing I can do is I can try to get them interested, and then they go home and they learn from each other, they learn from other people. The way that the US team became so strong is everyone has this. Okay? I also wanted to say this because maybe you saw the first 2 talks. Maybe some of you thought, looks complicated, looks hard. Can I ever learn it? Let me tell you, if you want to learn it, I'm sure you can learn it. If you're sitting in this room, you're probably smart enough to learn everything that was there. It might just take you 10 years. But this is how I think. I look at the world. If anyone else knows anything, if you give me 10 years, I will learn it too. The only question is that, do you want to spend the 10 years? Because you can only spend 10 years about 10 times. Did that make sense? So the deep question is, where are you going to spend your life? Okay? Because if you want something, if it's learning, you can learn it. The only question is, do you sit down and do it? Do you have the freedom to sit down and do it? Okay? And I love watching these kinds of conferences because I look at what people are doing and I think to myself, do I want to learn that? Do I need to learn that to do some bigger task I'm trying to achieve? If so, okay, I'm going to go and learn that. So this skill. But unfortunately, a lot of people in the world don't build this skill because people are used to just prepare for exam. Okay? To prepare for exam, fastest way, find someone to show you how to do every problem and then practice, 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 practice. People were commenting about China. I understand China quite well. I used to go to China every 2 months. I would go to China 6 times every year. This is not because I'm Chinese. Actually, my family is from Singapore. I went to China because I was very curious how people do things in China. And China has 1 billion people who are all optimizing for practice, practice, practice. It's actually the wrong approach. It's the wrong approach, okay? The correct approach is to learn how to come up with ideas you've never seen before. See, the way that you learn that how to solve problems you haven't seen before is you sit down, you think about problem for a long time, and then you try to figure it out. It's very slow. And sometimes it seems like you might not be able to figure out how to do it. Just keep fighting. Okay, I'll give you a tip. When I was learning math, when I was learning in high school, and when I was learning in university, and even today, I never read the explanation until I fought with it for a long time myself first. This is a tip on how to learn math. If you're reading a book, don't read the proof right away. Read the statement, sit down, think about that, and try to do it yourself. And you will probably fail. But still try for an hour, and then when you fail, you read the middle of the proof, read the middle few sentences, that's a hint, go back, think again. Okay, so this is how I learned everything. And this is very effective. It will teach you how to solve your own problems. Now, I today work on real-world problems. My background is I have PhD in mathematics. I learned all of this pure theoretical mathematics. I even wrote research papers. I made discoveries in pure mathematics. My area of mathematics before I got distracted is called graph theory, network theory, combinatorics. This is my favorite area. But then I wrote all those papers, and eventually I decided I wanted to spend many decades of the rest of my life working on problems that would change the lives of people in some bigger way. I got lucky to be able to do that because I was the national coach of US team. When I became national coach, I started to travel. Because if you're in charge of United States, you have to go and see United States. This is what I do now. See, these are all the talks I give. This is a list of all the talks I'll have given this year from January to August. In the US, I also am here, so this does not include the international. If you want to see how to do that, well, first of all, the way to make that list is to solve a famous computer science problem called TSP, which stands for Traveling Salesperson Problem. Because the density is so high that you actually have to line them up. I met that picture that you shared of us in the airport, which is how I am here. That airport picture was on Wednesday, July 24th. And we decided maybe I come here to Vietnam. And since we met there, I gave a few talks. We are here now. Okay, so I actually filled out all the space going to all these places. Now I'm here. And then if you can see what happened, you guys broke my TSP. The rest of these talks are all with a car. They were with a car. So actually, I will fly back to Indianapolis tomorrow, go back and get the car, and drive it to Cincinnati, Ohio. And then it ends back where I live, which is Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And then you cannot fly across the mountains. So then I cannot drive across the mountains. So then I go fly. Okay. And then I have to stop because I actually have to teach classes. I am still a math professor. My first day of class, can you guess, is Wednesday, August 28th. So, okay, I fill everything. But when I went and saw all of this, I saw problems that we could solve. I saw the big problem need to solve is teach everyone how to solve problems they haven't seen before and need to scale big. Okay, I look at this audience. Many of you seem like you come from special schools. I think, great, good for you. But whenever I see special schools, I think, wow, your country has a lot of hardworking people, and there are a lot of hardworking people who didn't go to special schools, who probably can also do very well. This is my impression, okay? And so whenever I look at special schools, I think, the only reason there are special schools is because there are not enough special teachers. Did that make sense? If there was more special teachers, just make more special schools. Does it make sense? So then the deep question is how we make more special teachers. If you can do it, if you have a whole country of hardworking people, you can go very far. Okay, so the deep question becomes how you scale it. And actually in USA, that's also my interest. USA, we have lots of great people. The only question is how to let all these great students have opportunity. Okay? Then I focused my energy on education. Specifically, I wanted to teach people how to solve problems they have never seen before, and I want to be able to do this at massive scale. Now it becomes a new kind of problem called societal population scale problem. I invented a solution. Actually, I invented a couple of solutions. I'll use my time today to tell you about two of them. The first one is very visual. I realized that one way to teach lots of people would be to use internet. I also realized something else. Zoom math class was boring. Did anyone else observe that Zoom math class is very boring? That's from your perspective. As the teacher, even more boring. We ask a question and nobody answers. Then we ask, is anyone even here? And no one answers either. Okay, so Zoom math class was a terrible experience for everybody. But then I thought, should be possible. Because the last I checked, everyone is always watching their phone. Everyone always on the screen. So it should be solvable, okay? So let me show you what I did, and then I will explain you how we did it. I will show you a 1-minute video clip of what we turned Zoom math class into. This is a class that teaches middle school kids. In America, that is kids who are 9 years old to 13 years old, something like that, around that age. We teach those kids. We teach them how to think. That's when I was in that picture. We teach those young kids right when they could learn how to think. And you'll see the two people teaching look like you. They're high schoolers. Okay, so our philosophy is every class taught by two kids who are about 14 to 18 years old, two teaching together, and they will teach kids 9 to 13 years old. And when the 9 to 13-year-old opens the Zoom, what they see looks like this. Now let's see, okay, I know. Sound will not work the normal way, so I will use something called physics.
All right, so we have our first daily challenge question here. Now, before we jump into it, I'd like to establish one small class norm, which is when you have a question, first of all, if you have a question, put it in chat. We would like to hear all of your questions, and we will definitely address any questions you have. But also, if someone sends in a question that you had, you can put a QQ in chat to indicate that you had the same question, a common question. That way we know that you had the same question, and you can support your classmates in having questions about the problem.
I saw a lot of people have great responses and great answers. However, we really want to see your solutions so that we can start building upon your ideas. And two solutions that I already see are from Grace and Isha, so thank you guys really much for putting those in.
We made Zoom math class as cool as a Twitch gaming stream. Do you guys know what Twitch is here? Oh, you know what Twitch is? Oh, of course, good. Actually, last month I had a call with the CEO of Twitch. Because we could make Twitch educational. You know how much educational stuff is on Twitch? 0. I went searching, 0. But the reason it's 0 is because before us, no one could solve the biggest question, where you find the live streamers. Okay? YouTube, lots of educational content because don't need live streamer. Does this make sense? There might be a few people, like this wonderful guy, Grant Sanderson. We met this guy. Grant Sanderson, 3 blue, 1 brown. Have you heard of this? Fabulous. He doesn't live stream, right? He makes wonderful content, but live stream is tough. That's like real teacher. How you find enough people to do all the live streaming? These classes I showed you, we can teach them live. The reason is because I used an area of math, something related to math, called game theory. So the way I solve large-scale problems, I'm inspired by a man named John Nash. John Nash is the most famous person ever to graduate from my university, Carnegie Mellon University, Mathematics Department. And he thought about how to create ecosystems or reason about ecosystems where people do things that help themselves. So I thought, if I need to have enough people live streaming, okay, which is the critical missing piece in the education, how to do, I must motivate them. How do I motivate high school students? Well, first of all, there are lots of high schoolers who are good at math. Look at this room. All of you are good at I'm actually fairly confident every one of you is good enough at math to coach middle schoolers. But the problem is, high schoolers are busy. What are they busy trying to do? What's their objective? Get into college. Okay. Let me explain how to get into US college. Getting into colleges in other countries is different, but I work in US and I also work with high school students who are trying to go to US to study for university. And it turns out, to get into US university, having good math scores is only one part. Does anyone know what other parts you also need? Extracurriculars. You need to have personality. You need to have communication. What does personality even mean? Personality means you have the capability to get lots of people to believe in what you're doing and then lead a team, create out of nothing.
If you want to make a superhuman reasoning team, you need to be able to motivate them to work, 200%. How you make them work 200%? By somehow making them think this is going to be fun. Okay, I'm explaining leadership is a real thing. It's a real thing. And I look at this country, I see so many hardworking people, and I think, you could create lots of things. You just need to have some people who have the capability to say, let's go! And then get a whole bunch of people to join them, and then they go and you make magic. Okay, I'm serious. This is actually what's called Silicon Valley. In America, there's this thing called Silicon Valley. The founder of a company needs to have something that's called a reality distortion field, which is, you can envision that we can all go here if we just all work together. Okay? So come join. And then suddenly all these people say, yeah, I think this guy knows what he's doing. Let's all join. Before you know it, you make something called OpenAI. Oh, sorry, that's your competitor. I should be nice. But, sorry? Oh, yeah, Reka AI. Yeah. That's a great story. What, you gave a talk yesterday. You had like $20 million, is that right? Or 30 million? Is that what it was? Or 100 million. Still small numbers for US. But okay, but you did something that challenged the Goliath with relatively small money because some people have this reality distortion field. Anyway, so this very important skill, just to let you know, whether you apply US university or otherwise, very important skill to learn how to talk. Okay, let me also tell you the other reason I knew high school students need to learn how to talk, because I also have kids. When I thought of this idea, my oldest daughter was in 8th grade. She was 13 years old. She's actually very good at math, like really good at math. But what I saw was the thing that will help her the most is learning how to convince anyone to do anything. Okay, so I said, that's the pain point, I'll solve it. So I made a program for high schoolers. Actually, people from all over the world are in this program. We find high schoolers who are good at math, and then I hire professional comedians and actors to teach them how to be interesting. I usually use the English word charismatic. Charismatic. If you know what that word means, that means that you can talk in a way that makes everybody want to follow you. So this is what we teach high schoolers. How am I able to do that? It's because I work at Carnegie Mellon University, and we are very, very good at computer science and acting. We have one of the top acting departments in the entire USA. Carnegie Hall and Carnegie Mellon are the same Carnegie. So I went over to talk to the actors to find out if I can do something that makes them win. And it turns out that for actors, it's very useful to be able to have extra part-time work so they can chase their dreams, which is to perform. And I said, great, how about you do it on internet? You coach the high schoolers. And they said, win-win, okay. Now, the reason that this all works is because for the high schoolers, they get to learn from actors, okay, but how can I pay for everything? If you want to create value, you got to be able to pay for it. I'm a social entrepreneur. So the work I do can scale massively because we can even pay for it. Here's how. Turns out that if you're a high schooler who loves math and you want to learn how to talk, and you get to talk to a professional actor or have a professional actor watch you, if you want to learn how to talk, you got to talk. And then they give you feedback. What is the easiest thing for high school math people to talk about, guys? Math. So that's how they do it. This is math. All that happens is, how will we do this? The way we do this is all the high schoolers in our program, we send them all the equipment, we send them the lights, we send them computer, we send them 2 screens, 2 monitors. One monitor, they have the Zoom call with the students they're teaching, and inside that Zoom call, we pay for a professional actor in every single one of the classes, professional actor inside that room, watching and listening to everything. But the actors, camera off, microphone off, so they don't bother anyone learning the math. At the same time, the high schoolers on the other screen use something called Discord. Do you have that here? Okay, is that what all the high schoolers are using here? Yes, okay, Discord. Do you know Discord has a voice video channel as well? You know this, right? Okay, on the other screen is a Discord voice video call between the actor and the high schoolers can see and hear everything the actor is doing. The actor also typing on Discord saying, hey, your eyes open a bit wider, or the energy was good, yeah? And also you can see the smile on the actor. You know what happens if you see your smile, because it's a video call, and you see the actor's face right next to it? What do you end up doing? If you have an actor who's trying to help you, and you can see her face, you can see your face, what do you end up doing? Copying her. We figured out a way to teach high school students how to be like a professional actor, and all they have to do is talk about math. It's explosive. It actually works. I will say I've observed this work really well. Definitely works for my daughter, but I've seen it work for lots and lots of people. Actually, the person who works the most with all of this is my wife. My wife and I work closely on everything. I'm the outside person, she's the inside person. What that means is I'm here talking to you, and she's managing all of the classes. She's talking to all these, she's in a lot of these rooms. She sees the actresses. She's been working with actors and actresses every night for about 2 years. And I observed that after 2 years, my wife became really, really interesting at talking. It was wonderful. It's just amazing. If you hang out with professional actors, it changes your life. The same reason you want to go to this special high school, because then you hang out with smart math people and it makes you really good at math. Guess what? You hang out with really amazing performing art people, you become great at performing. It's a very simple idea. My idea is basically, if you imagine your science school, and does Vietnam have an art school for high school? Do they or no? Is there such thing? Do you have some specialized performing arts school for high school? Oh, you don't have specialized school. Okay, Carnegie Mellon is a weird place where you have basically super top science and super top acting in same place. So that's how I got this idea. Anyway, so we made this thing. And it actually seems to be pretty good. How do we know it works? We know it works because of the level of the high schoolers who are inside. This is a list of all the high schoolers in the program. And I'm just going to scroll to let you see. They're coming from all over, and I expect that we'll be picking up people from Vietnam soon too. But so Srinivas is Colorado, Armin is Romania, Elena is the girl you just saw. She's actually not only good at smiling and talking, she's a USA Math Olympiad winner. Like, she's really good at math. Okay, she's actually going to MIT this fall. Sarah is from Romania, Harvard. Sorry, Jesse's going to Harvard this fall. Right, I should say, actually, we also figured out how to get students into college. The high school program, we have 100 in it right now, and 30 of them just finished high school. Out of the 30, 6 got into Harvard, 13 got into MIT, 2 are going to Princeton. Somebody turned down Stanford, someone else turned down Yale, someone's going to Caltech. You get the idea. We actually figured out how to actually get all of the top US universities. Oh, right, the high school students don't pay anything either, we pay them. So we run the only program in the entire world with this kind of outcomes, and we pay you for it. This is called game theory. It's incentive alignment. We made it really, really good. And then as a result, the people teaching are insanely good. I'm just scrolling through here. There's never been a program like this before where every single person who's teaching is at this level. And that's because teaching this after-school stuff is at this level. It's because we just made it win-win. More fun stuff. We also have them teaching in pairs. That's because I'm a graph theorist. I'm building a giant graph. We found all these really interesting people. We're introducing them to each other because if you know other really, really clever people, you go far. So now let me tell you one thing. Because so many people are trying to join the program, this gave us the power to decide how to do our own admissions. Let me tell you a bit about what it takes to get into this high school program. You need to be pretty good at math, but if you look at this, they're not all like the best at math. Some of them are good in their state, which, good in a US state doesn't necessarily mean you're super smart. I was good in Wisconsin, but what does that mean? Wisconsin's the middle of nowhere. Okay, I mean, if you're good in Vietnam, you're probably very good in Wisconsin. So my point is, the math level is only one part. The other thing we did is I'm a bit of a crazy guy. Once I saw I have the power to decide who is in this program, I said, I want to change the culture. See, one of the things I was concerned about was that I saw a culture of people trying to win contests for only one reason, to win the contest. And then why you win the contest? Okay, then you can get rich. To me, that's a problem. Actually, I like working with people who want to do something bigger. You might be able to tell by now that what I'm after is getting people who want to take their entire society to a better place. So, I have a philosophy. We don't want to help people for whom their attitude is that, let me go to this slide to let you see what I mean. There's a certain way that sometimes people run their life where the idea of pleasure is to delight yourself. That's called, I want to win so I can get good job and I can get rich and I'm comfortable. But that's only making yourself happy. I'm actually after something much bigger. We hunt for all the people for whom their pleasure comes from delighting other people. Okay? By the way, these people exist. And also, in case you didn't know, all of the famous US universities interview you to try to figure out, is this you? Okay? Yeah. So the thing is, we are actually using our ability because all these people want to join the program. Well, we go and find out who actually wants to delight other people. Okay? And I want to put this idea in your head because if you run your life around how can I make other people's life better, suddenly you have the motivation to go spend 10 years learn something. I had the motivation to go build this whole thing out. This whole thing took me about 10 years to come up with and then build this thing by understanding enough people. Okay? So we operate the entire high school program around, let's find all the people who want to do this. Then we introduce them all to each other by teaching together. The goal is they will all grow up, they will go to these universities, they'll get good jobs, they'll become leaders in their jobs, they'll take over the world. This is actually what we're trying to do. Okay? And then at all different corners of the world, they will even work together. That's actually why we're so happy to have people in the program from different countries. Because if you make friends from young age and then you become leaders, then maybe you'll be more peaceful later because all you young people are now old and you're all friends. This is great. I have a few more minutes. Let me give you an idea of how I think by telling you about another project that I'm working on, which is about to launch in about 1-2 weeks. This is not really for you guys. This is for younger kids. But I want to let you know so you can see this is how a person who uses game theory to solve problems might keep coming up with new things. This thing I just showed you, I'm able to run, but it's not free. We charge for the classes because I need to pay for the actors, pay for the high schoolers and everything, okay? So, okay, some people can take those middle school classes. The high schoolers all get paid everywhere in the world, so that's not the problem there. But if I want to teach even more people at middle school, I need something free. So I thought, what else do kids watch? Well, they're online playing games. So we're making a math game. Okay, back to game theory. We're making an online math game. But this math game is very simple. I'm stealing the idea of something called chess.com. Have you heard of that website? If you haven't, you can guess what happens. You go there, play chess against random strangers. We're making one where you play math against random strangers. Okay, well, here's how it works. Random kids can go on. This is for middle school kids. Random kids can go on, and then they break into rooms of about 5 kids, and then a problem comes, and then they all go compete to see who can solve this problem, and then afterwards we give them a chat room to talk about anything you want for half a minute. Talk about anything you want for half a minute. I want people to make friends with other people on the internet doing math together. What I just described used to exist on the internet, and it was terrible. It was highly toxic. Because if you get middle school students to go compete on math and let them talk about anything, what they talk about is so stupid. This is so easy. You know, how you don't know how to do this thing? And they don't help each other. So we have big change. I use game theory. In our website, next to your username is not your math skill. Next to your username is your reputation score. Reputation, the only way to earn reputation is in the chat. If you say something and someone else says, that helped me learn, they give you a brain emoji reaction. They can give they can give a heart, they can give a brain emoji. Your score is how many brain emojis you got. Now let's think game theory. Suppose there's this platform. Suppose 5 kids try to do problems. Suppose 2 of them solve. Suppose 3 of them fail. The ones who fail, what might they ask in the chat? How you do it. Now the ones who know how to do it, what will they do in the chat? The only way to get points is to earn brain emoji. They'd be nice. I invented a system where the genius jerk gets 0 points. This solves one of the biggest problems in math education or math teams, okay? Let me tell you, this is not just a promise. It's about to release. Let me show you what it looks like. Here's the secret website. This website is about to launch. Secret website not loading. Anyway, we'll see. So hopefully the internet will load it. Either that or we are currently deploying a fix. I try one more thing, and if it doesn't load, then we will not be able to show you the secret website. Okay, this shows that internet is just not here. Let's stop that. Let's put back. I promise you it's worth it if we can get through, because I want to show you how you make things all the way through. So what happened is the internet temporarily dropped because my university website didn't load either, and that's not a secret website. Okay, there. So university website is currently loading. That's good. So that means this page will load. Okay, so whenever I do something, I go and try to do it properly. This is the new website. Don't just beat people with math, help people with math. Actually, if you can see, we hired professional user experience designers. My university, Carnegie Mellon, is also one of the top design schools in the world. Let's go and play. Okay, so I'm just showing you this exists, all right? I'm not going to go and play the whole thing, but you can see you can also talk to random people, but nobody else is here, which is disappointing. But, you know, I can just go play, 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 room comes. I'm just showing you, I'm not promising you something empty. It's going to release. As soon as we finish, this is here and we're just testing for bugs. But I'm just showing you that when you want to go and execute something all the way out, you take every detail, every detail. What's the moral of the story? When I decide I want to solve something, I first think, how do people face, what problems do they face? Once you figure out what problems they face, I think, how do they think? And as you figure out how they think, then you figure out how do I make something that makes them all win. And then, this ecosystem, what I expect will happen, again, something's wrong with internet, so it's a bit slow. But what I think will happen is that, hey, this will become a free way that people on internet explain to each other while they do math. It's basically just a real-time Stack Overflow. Did that make sense? That was my idea. And again, I somehow cannot seem to see anything more here. I actually suspect it's the internet not loading. Internet not loading. But you get to see, I just wanted to show you the execution was to the point where we design it all professionally. Ultimately, my hope for all of you, you guys are high potential people. Hopefully this talk made you think a little bit about, oh yeah, you see the thing even works. Hopefully this talk makes you think about what you do in the world, come up with something. Get some people work together. Make something. You have a lot of hard-working talent here. Of course, maybe some of you will end up working with us, but ultimately all I care about is people who are trying to delight other people and who are pretty smart, work together, and somehow that whole network, that whole graph of people, you guys will save the world. Thank you. How do you want to organize the next part of the time? We will go to panel, right? So maybe while they're getting panel ready, I assume they need to bring some chairs. I'm happy to take a few questions while they're getting everything, then we save all the time, right? Oh, there are no chairs? There were chairs because you signed something. You signed something, so there are chairs. I'm pretty sure there can be some chairs on the stage, and then we can just sit on the chairs. Meanwhile, while they're getting that, anyone with any questions? Oh, also, I should probably leave a QR code here. If you like any of the stuff that I'm doing, this is the live program. That's the whole high school thing that I was doing. But there was a question somewhere. I saw a hand somewhere over there. Yes, is there a microphone? Oh, could you keep the hand up? There's a girl over there, and then the microphone is coming.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So, my full name is Chu Minh, and I'm sophomore of the University of Economics and Law from the National Universities Ho Chi Minh City. And my major is Management of Information System. So, and first one, I would just like to thank you for all three speakers today for your dedicating to represent such interesting knowledge, and you're willing to share your maybe your projects, your current projects. And to be honest, I'm currently living in Dong Nai province, and it took me about 40 kilometers, about maybe about around 2 hours to commute to here. And I just want to say it's totally worth my time and energy to come here, to being here and listening to on of this. And my question is that Vietnam National Universities, you know that we have special programs that call honors programs that each member universities will have a chance to pick some specialized majors in some faculties, and my faculty is information systems. My university picked e-commerce as for honors program. For your information, honor programs is only for top 10 students of the faculties, and we have to do the scientific research and graduation thesis on by English. So I have applied for the programs. My profile is, I have my current GPA is, when I told my friends who are, some of them are students of programs of computer science and computer engineering of University of Technology, Ho Chi Minh City, they kind of undergrade e-commerce majors, as they say that it was not cool, it was not trend today, and it was not so potential. With your abilities, you should attend to pursue in some kind of more successful, more potential, such as computer science, computer engineering, but not e-commerce, you know. And so my question is, I want to hear your perspective and thoughts about e-commerce compared to computer science and computer engineering.
Okay, let me just quickly answer it very, very quickly because then we can go to the panel, right? So first of all, I understand that sometimes there are programs in the world where only 10 people can get in. The main work I work on is to make it so it doesn't matter even if you didn't get in. My attitude is there are more capable people than there are spots. Okay, so the fundamental philosophy of every education thing I do is how to make it so that every person who's capable enough is useful. Not how to find the best. And that's not what you were asking anyway, but I just want to say, don't worry if you get it or don't get it. Secondly, what kind of major you do? I also just said you can learn things forever. I learned all this game theory stuff when I was like 30-something. Okay, so the thing is, you major in something. If someone make fun of you, just keep working, right? Keep working hard, keep learning something. If you decide you need to learn some computer science, good news. You can learn it on internet. Go ask ChatGPT. I asked ChatGPT to teach me all kinds of programming stuff. It's amazing. I mean, and of course, if it's wrong, then it apologizes. Right? But you can keep poking. So my point is, you go somewhere. Actually, last night, I was interviewing a candidate who's hopefully going to end up working for my company. I run a company. I was interviewing the candidate from your time, 1:30 p.m. until 1:30 a.m. until 2:30 a.m. because she was in Texas. But it's okay. She's a political science major. Doesn't matter. She has some GPA. I didn't even look at the GPA. That's not relevant. What was relevant is this person had powerful energy and could want to learn anything. Okay? If you have that, you get some major, you keep going, and then make sure you have a good network of other people who know you as somebody who will go learn anything, and then hopefully one of them has a job or knows about a job. See, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make it so the whole world can be robust and succeed in a complicated environment where the solution is to keep popping up new startups. Then you need to make sure you know what they are. Okay? So do some major, but just keep the fire. Okay? And with that, I think we should go to the panel. I don't think that microphone works, by the way. That was mine. They didn't connect it. So no, it's not connected. We have to use this one. It's because they didn't connect the wires. So we have this. I think we have another one from the audience.
Hello. Okay.
Oh,
how about
good.
this one?
Yeah. Here we go.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, all the presenters. So, all right. So let's do the panel. We don't have that much time left, but by show of hand, I want to get like a pulse of the audience. Okay. Who of you are excited about the future of AI? All right. Oh, that's a lot. Okay. Who of you are worried, fearful about the future of AI? Okay, there's some hands there. All right. And who of you are falling asleep? Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So maybe I'll ask a few questions first, and then I'll leave the time for open floor for the question from the audience. So my first question would be, okay, there's a lot of excitement. Oh, yes. We also have one more AI expert. Ite, would you like to say some few words?
Yeah, thanks. I didn't give a talk, so I just thought I introduce myself quickly. Hi, I'm Ite, and currently I'm the co-founder and chief scientist of an AI startup called Reka AI, and we build multimodal language models. Before founding this company about a year ago, I was at Google Brain with Tang, and I worked with Quốc as well at Google Brain for a few years. So so nice to meet everybody and good to be here. Yeah, I just wanted to introduce myself because I didn't give talks today. So yeah.
Welcome, Ite. So I guess my first question would be like, what does it all mean for the student here in Vietnam, right? With the excitement, with all the big future of AI and generative AI. So what kind of skill set do they need to prepare right now so that they can capture the opportunities of AI and generative AI. Anyone want to start first?
Hello? Can everyone hear me? Okay. Or maybe you want to say first while I'm thinking?
All right, I got the same question yesterday. Someone asked me what would they do to prepare for AI, and they want to go to PhD in AI. I said, look, that's great. Right now, at the moment, 5 years ago, I would advise differently, but this moment is different because AI have changed. So AI this day is part of life already. So maybe we should approach AI as some subject that more humanity subjects, rather than purely technology. That my I think thinking, because technology is going to be very advanced. It's very hard for students to start building it from the ground up. I think it's too late. Maybe start thinking differently, treating AI as a friend, treating AI as a new kind of humanities, or advances in a new thing. So maybe we should be that mentality we start with. The skill set we work out later, but I think the approach should be right first.
Yeah, I think for me, first of all, there was a comment earlier about how if you have, somebody said the GDP of Vietnam compared to the amount of money being spent by all these other AI companies, never be scared about that. I showed you the best after-school math classes for middle school kids in the entire world. We went up against billion-dollar companies. No problem. See, the thing about companies is if they have $1 billion, they spend it very fast. I mean, you know, you work at a giant company, right? So these giant companies, they think, let's try this. They spend a huge amount of money, and most of the money is spent on things that ultimately don't work. What we do is we go and look and say, aha, those things don't work. Thanks for wasting all the money. Now let's go over here and do this one that does work. That's why I showed you we managed to make the math class better than everybody else by just doing what everyone else didn't do. So the important thing, I think, is that you need to be entrepreneurs. If you can see the spirit of what I'm trying to tell you, is I'm a very low amount of money entrepreneur. There is a very successful, you know, you have a $1 billion company. I don't. But I do everything with like very little amounts of money, but very passionate team. So if you can see, what I'm trying to do here is to see if maybe some of you will decide to start something. You need to get the skills to be able to convince the 10 people around you to join your thing. Okay? But if you do this, then you can actually be pioneers in this like very fast-moving AI world. Then you use AI as the boss. It's awesome. AI is cheap. In what we do, we also use AI for various things. But we control it because we're the ones using it. Along those lines, that's why I'm actually here, in part because we're trying to grow out our Vietnam network of the high school students. Because if we introduce to each other these like high ambition, kind people who are very good at talking and smart enough, then they'll make friends, and then some of them will start their own company. So my point is, what we're doing is we're basically making a giant incubator network worldwide, connecting people. And whether you use ours or something else, I think the future is to not only do the math and science, but to also try to figure out how to understand the human problems and then build teams to solve them.
Okay. All right, thank you both. Any other comments?
Yeah, I think my meta advice would be like be creative. Be curious. Be curious, and don't be afraid. So I think if you want to do something, just go and do it, right? So I mean, if I can give a specific example, let's talk about Gen AI. Like in this world, like a lot of people using ChatGPT or Gemini, right? Maybe you can like give a book, like a math book, something like tell it to summary, give a summary of that math book. Well, that could be the first thing that you do, but then you can be curious, right? What if I tell, not just ask a simple question like how to summarize that book, but what if you tell it more instructions like, okay, summarize that book in maybe 10 sentences, right? That could be the first thing, and then you say, okay, I want these to be in bullet points. And then you can also add more stuff. Like, okay, I want to make a table of content, like with like 5 different most important topics. You can also start to add more instruction, like for each topic, then make a list of most important ideas, something like that. So be curious about those things, right? So that even like the very basic stuff where people use a lot, but then you can push the boundary and then you use it in a more advanced way. That's how you learn things. And then you can use it even more, like how to do like programming or how to like customize the ChatGPT to make it like your own version and things like that. So be curious and then try things. Don't be afraid. Just go and do things.
Okay,
Yeah,
thanks.
just quickly say something. Yeah, I guess I agree with Tang, and I think that like as another meta point, I think like AI is like a lifestyle, and then I think the people who are successful like never really stop thinking about it. They kind of think of it like all the time, and it is kind of similar to like being curious all the time and stuff like that. So I think like the people who are very excited about AI, they just never stop thinking about it. They live and breathe AI. They work all the time, and they are very passionate. So I think this is like maybe like yeah, there's some meta advice. Yeah.
Great. Yeah.
Maybe I had another point to add. Actually, I have a question from someone with a degree in doctor in math. Actually, so he said, "How can I go into AI field? It's going too fast." I said, "Look, in math, you look for problems and you can prove. Someone may give you the problem, you can prove, right? You're super smart, you can prove it. But in AI, there's no theorem for you to prove. The AI is the only thing that doesn't work. You have to make it work." That's the mentality in AI. And then you go and be creative into how to make it work, right? Other than waiting for the problem to solve, someone tell you, probably not. Just try to work, try to see if it doesn't work, and try to make it. Right?
Great. Yeah, thank you guys. All right, so maybe let's open up to the floor for question. Yes.
Yes, I have a question for the Dr. Thắng. It's about the alpha geometry program. The setup script from alpha geometry from the GitHub website. Download the model from the internet. And when we use it, it doesn't solve some geometry problems. I asked you if we need a supercomputer from Google infrastructure or just some laptops with the model you give us. And we could solve geometry problems without the hardware infrastructure. Yeah. And another related question is the IMO silver model of your next version of alpha geometry. Does it? Do you use the Google infrastructure to run to participate in the computation, or you use some normal laptop?
Okay, good question. Yeah. I can say a few more things. So, Alpha Geometry 1 can only solve, I think it reached the gold medalist, but it doesn't solve everything. I think there's a few things. For example, like it can only represent maybe like 68% of the problems, like at the IMO. That's Alpha Geometry 1, right? 68%. And then if you look at globally, like all the IMO problems from the year 2000 and until 2022, Alpha Geometry 1 can only solve 53% of the problems. But we say in the blog post, Alpha Geometry 2 can solve 83%. So it's a big increase in the capabilities. So there's a few things that happens. So number one, we improve the formal language so it can represent more problems and that the system can tackle. And number two, we improve the training data set. So it was 100 millions. We make it like, an order of magnitude bigger. So it contains more difficult problems. So the AI can learn about more difficult problems. And I don't know. Oh yeah, we actually did. I was just trying to think which one we share publicly, which one we don't share. So we actually now can solve what they call weighted problem, like, problem about how things are moving. So the Dr. Chin-Lei problem, 1979. So we can cover that. So that's the new thing. We can represent how things are moving. So that's the new capabilities, and then reasoning about like more like algebraic reasoning. So we make some improvement like that. And for your second question about at the IMO 2024, right? Alpha geometry don't need a lot of resources. It's actually quite fast. We improve it pretty fast. It's also like 2 orders of magnitude faster than before. So it doesn't require a lot of resources. But for other model like alpha proof, there would be quite some amount of resources needed.
All right. Next question. Yeah, please, someone.
Hello. Hello everyone, and hello all the speakers, and hello Dr. Yite too. Yeah, I am like Professor Poison Law share. He turned something boring like Zoom map class into something interesting to make a student more interactive. And you also apply something, combine separate ideas like game theory to Zoom class map. Yeah, I think this requires a lot of creativity factors. Yeah, and I think that to build AI breakthroughs like alpha geometry or AI proof, creativity is require a lot. So I want to ask all 3 speakers, how can we integrate creativity into solving math or building something interesting? Yeah. Thank you so much.
I'd love to start. So first of all, I want to tell everyone, I'm actually kind of stupid. So if you think that, if you like the things I do, you should be able to do all of them too. Because I'm not very smart. Okay? I'm not just saying this to make you feel good. I was from the good old days where we don't know anything. Okay? I was on the IMO team in the United States, but at the IMO, I didn't even know what was Fermat's little theorem. So, you were 8th in Vietnam. That's probably better than me being 5th in USA. Okay? So I'm just like, I'm not actually that smart. And I want to make sure that you guys know this, because sometimes people look at what I do and they say, wow, all these creative ideas. Look, it's because I've been thinking about the same thing for 20 years. So that's why I said this, which is, you can only make a choice to put 10 years of your life into something 10 times. I decided to go and put like all my life into one direction, and after a while, you learn everything about that. Okay? The creativity comes from just understanding all of the pieces inside there. That's actually why when they invited me to come to Vietnam, I said, of course, because then I can fill a gap in my knowledge. How do Vietnamese people think? What is Vietnam like? What is the street? What is the challenge? Everywhere I go, I say, aha, now I understand how another 100 million people have some challenges in their life and have some extra power in their life, right? And then the creativity comes from just combining all of those. So again, I wanted to just emphasize, maybe some of these other speakers are actually smart, but I'm not. Okay? And I'm not just saying that to make you feel better. It's true.
All right, thank you. Next question, maybe? The one right there. Yeah.
First of all, thank you very much for actually picking me. Been raising my hands for like for a lot of times now. But I have a question. We all know that creativity is one of the virtues of humanity, right? We all know that. But as we approach this era, the era of artificial intelligence, we start to treat artificial intelligence as something human, as a subject of humanity. So do we have to worry about the fact that we are no longer the only one who can actually think and have the creativity? So that's just my question. It could be stupid. I'm sorry for that. Thank you very much.
Okay, so the question is, creativity is part of one of the virtues of humanity, and so now if we treat AI as like something with creativity, are we worried that it's you know, there's some changes, right, to the way that we view humanity or not. Is that a question? Did I capture it right?
Yeah, I kind of, I mean, it's a good question actually, like very good question. It's not a stupid question, it's a good question. So, I personally don't like think that like my self-worth as a human is defined by like how creative I am, right? So personally, that's on the personal level. I think AI being creative is also going to be a different type of creativity compared to human intelligence, right? I think AI creativity is like complementary to human creativity. Like AI can create like very good poems, can create very good like essays and stuff, but it's still, I think there's still going to be a difference with like human creativity, and I just see it as complementary. And I think as humans, we should not be like that worried about like AI surpassing us in like things, because they already surpass. I mean, I use they, but okay. I mean, like AI is already like surpassed us in many things, right? So. I mean, as an AI researcher, I'm obviously excited to see humans get beaten by in as many things as possible. So I guess we should just embrace the new wave of AI and yeah. I mean, yeah, that's all I have to say.
I would say we should just try to take advantage of AI creativity, right? To be more creative. Meaning that like AI can be like a new calculator. You know, in the past, people just do basic like calculation, right? And then the calculator become available, people do more advanced stuff, and then become deep learning AI, right? You can just treat AI as a new tool, and then you can go and explore the universe, understand science, go build go occupy Mars or something like that.
All right, one last question. Yeah.
My questions revolves around job markets. As a high schooler who strives to become a software engineer, I'm quite afraid to see the growth of artificial intelligence. Seeing how most artificial intelligence models can now replace software engineers when it comes to programming, I want to ask that, would software engineering be a job that would soon to be lost to time, or would it be more optimal for someone like me to study and become an artificial intelligence engineer?
Let's try to summarize the question.
So how AI is going to change the job market for engineering? So maybe I'll take this. So I think, software engineering will be impacted, right? It will change massively because of AI, but it will not go away. So think about maybe like the accountant in old days, right? In the old days, they probably have to do all the calculation by hand. But once now they have the computer, they just put it into the spreadsheet and they calculate all the numbers, right? And so now you save a lot of time. I think it's the same with software engineer. If you know how to use AI, you can get done in so much, less effort and time than someone who's not using AI. And so that will be the change, right? The engineer that knows how to use AI will survive in a sense.
And I would say maybe before that, it takes you a week to build a program, right? Maybe now it takes you a day. So you can build a bigger program, you can build a more sophisticated program.
Yeah, I want to take this because I happen to see a lot of people, as you can tell from the talks. There was previously a very big oversupply of software engineers. So the thing about it is not about whether software engineering will go away. The problem is whether there are already too many of them, and then as it becomes more efficient, they don't need as many of them. So my advice is, actually, I think all the jobs are going to get shaken up. So don't try to choose a job. Look at what I do. Do I seem like a math professor? That's because I kept moving. I said the future of all of these things, if I just keep doing the same thing I always do, I change, okay? So I'm actually an entrepreneur. I'm a social entrepreneur. I come up with all these different things. Change, embrace change. Don't be someone who says, look, I know that the way to get success is to get all these scores, get a software engineer. Finally, I can relax. I got software engineer. Nope, that's not going to happen. You're going to have to keep changing, okay? But if you embrace the change, then it's fun. It's variety. Wouldn't it be boring to do the same thing all day? Right? So it's fun. Now the deep question then becomes, how do you be able to move fast enough to move with the market? So for me, the way I've always been able to is by making sure my network is strong. All of my opportunities in life, I learned from hearing from other people. Which is why in the airport, when I saw the two of you, I walked over and I sat down next to the two of you. I didn't say, I don't feel like talking to people. I said, oh, there's two people. They seemed very interesting. Let me go and see more about them. And oh, now I'm here, right? So I'm just explaining, you have to build your network. This is a different mentality. I don't think a person's strength is going to be their degree or their discipline. It will be how powerful is your network, so that you can hear very early, hey, some guy's building superhuman reasoning team. Oh, they need this, that, the other thing. Then you go, oh, go. But if you don't hear, by the time you hear about it, there are too many people. Actually, this is the general philosophy I have. Once I see everyone in the world running one way, I say, no way am I doing that. Because then I only do it because I see them doing it. It's too late. It's like buying the stock after it went big. I only go where there's nobody else doing it. Okay? And that's actually also why I went and built this whole program, because I said, I want to build network. And I do want to make one comment about the thing that we're building, because I have got feedback before where sometimes people say, oh, maybe you have to be genius to be in it. No, I want to emphasize, I don't believe in elitism. I think it's actually, there are a lot of people. And ironically, from my experience, the people that apply for what I do, it's the ones who were the least sure that they were good that are actually good. There are lots of people who think they're really good because they just went and did compete, prepare, but they're actually not the ones that we want. So I want to emphasize in here, sometimes there are people who think, maybe I'm not smart enough, maybe I don't have enough skills. I'm going to tell you, from my experience, you guys are often the ones that we find the most valuable. Okay? So I actually want to emphasize this. Like, I work a lot with people who are not the very, very top. But then they build the network. And then through the network, everyone finds out, oh, even though this person didn't have the top skill, it's okay. You don't need the top skill. What you need is all these other things. Okay? So my advice is, don't think a career, think a network.
I also have a, you want to say something? I just have one quick comment about the job, the worry about job loss, right? Actually, 5 years ago, people was worried that like people who read the X-ray images will go away because AI was so good at like medical imaging, right? But actually turns out, I think that I look at some statistics, actually there's even more demand for people who can read X-ray. Because why? Because like the cost of X-ray becomes so much cheaper, so people do more X-ray, so you need even more people, right? So it might just be the case for software engineering that like as it becomes so easy, there are even more people like from art, law who want to become a software engineers as well.
There's a thing called, I think if I recall correctly, is Zevon paradox. It means that if you want to replace something and if something becomes so cheap, then you end up having more of those things. Even in the first place, you want to replace it. So it could be the reverse dynamics that we are thinking about. So maybe actually there are more software engineering jobs, but the nature of job will change. You don't produce random code like before. Probably you try to solve the good problems. Then I think, and people say that, oh, software actually solves a lot of problems, and then they start ordering more problems for the software engineer. But the dynamic of job would change, or the skill set would change, rather than just typing the code. The algorithm and things like that, probably that would change the dynamic, but I think the requirement would still in demand, at least for the short period of time, I guess.
Yeah. All right, so let's do one last round of quick advice. So if you were going to tell your younger self, in high school, years ago, one advice, what would you say so that you can share with the students here? So let's do a quick round. We're running out of time. So if you wish, someone gave your younger self in high school an advice, what would that be?
Probably I go first. I'm the one who changed my career choice. I was meant to be academic. Okay, I'm still academic, so that never changed. But I was meant to be the physicist. And then I figured out there's nothing to do, left to do, because all the physics, good physics, are being figured out. Not much for me to do, so I decided to switch to computer science. And then I switched to computer science, and I said, well, a little bit boring because, programming all day, gaming all day is not my thing. And suddenly the AI machine learning came, and I started doing machine learning. So I think one thing stay the curiosity that Thang mentioned. If you keep curious about the world around you, probably it keep you going. Things will change anyway. I have my daughter, 13 now. I'm starting thinking about what the future for her. And then what I learned from my own father is that we never set the direction for the kids because the world changed. My father was a high school teacher, and he never advised me to be a high school teacher. Probably he went against it because it was too boring by the time, because you go to school all day and then go back, and that's it, nothing else to do. So he didn't advise me to do anything. So he didn't. I asked for advice, but he didn't never give advice. So I picked my path, and then I changed myself as well. So, yeah.
Okay, great.
Oh, I think I just have the same thing, like be curious and don't be afraid. I think, yeah.
My advice to younger self, take acting classes.
Awesome.
So I took acting classes at age 35. They changed my life. If I did it earlier, it would have changed my life faster.
All right. You take?
Yeah, I could concur for that. I was very shy. I was practically shaking to the ground. If you asked me to stand before you, I didn't act okay. I was real, but but then keep practicing and some sort of act is okay, I guess. Yeah.
I guess it's very hard to think about like the past and like how to. So I cannot think of anything like that. But I guess if there was one thing, I guess that like general advice is maybe like to enjoy yourself more during any process, because when you look back, things always feel more enjoyable. But like when you're going through, maybe try to I would probably try to enjoy. I enjoy myself a lot, like generally, but you could just you cannot go back in time. So sometimes when you always work towards the objective, you always think that when you reach the objective, you'll be happy. But there's always a new objective. And if I look back, actually, it's the journey that matters, and it's where all the fun comes from. And if there's no way to time travel and re-savor those moments. So enjoying yourself is important. Yeah. Delight others. Yeah.
All right. Okay, please join me to give a round of applause for the speakers. Thank you, speakers.
Yeah. And on behalf of the university, here we have a small gift for all of you.
And I'd like to thank you very much for staying here up to now to join a very interesting talk, and I really hope that after this meeting today, many of you guys will feel very interesting topics in the future to follow, and hope that we can meet you soon in the future. And thanks our speakers and participants today, and thank you very much for being here.